Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
House Republican leaders demanding the Justice Department turn over the rest of the requested documents related to the Russia investigation by tomorrow. Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures.
We, of course, in our investigation are very disturbed by the connection between these two investigations, the same characters being involved.
The DOJ's Inspector General is still reviewing whether the alleged anti-Trump bias of two FBI agents helped launch the FBI's Russia probe in 2016. And this morning, Chairman Goodlatte told Fox News that Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and FBI Director Wray may testify as soon as this week.
Fox's Jillian Turner. Turkey's president says he's won another term based on unofficial election results. Recep Tayyip Erdogan hoping to consolidate power under a new system approved last year. Where will Democrats set up shop in their bid to defeat President Trump in 2020?
Milwaukee or Brew City, home of American beers and Harley-Davidsons, where the Fonz has a bronze statue. It's now on the short list of 2020 convention sites for the Democratic Party. Alex Lasry leads Milwaukee's bid.
Everyone knows what this would do for Milwaukee and what it would do for Wisconsin.
A state in a blue wall that Republicans broke through in 2016 for the first time in 3 decades. Officials from the DNC will take tours of the finalist cities and their offerings in August, when Miami and Houston are hot and muggy, and when Milwaukee temperatures will be just right. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Roseanne Barr feels remorse for the racist tweet that killed the reboot of her sitcom. Barr in a podcast interview saying she never would have wittingly called a black person a monkey. The actress became a social media pariah after comparing former Obama administration official Valerie Jarrett to an ape. ABC announcing a spin-off Connor family sitcom will air in the fall, but without Barr in it. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth. From vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
Chili's Rib Fest is back. You can get saucy with their fall-off-the-bone, slow-smoked half-rack of ribs for $10.99. Available in original, roasted garlic, or honey chipotle flavors. Served with home-style fries. Add an additional half-rack of ribs for just $7. Low and slow is the key to more flavor. Chili's Rib Fest for $10.99. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in the settlement process.
Hafa Adai and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Memorial Hospital behind again in its contributions to the GovGuam Retirement Fund. $1.8 million behind in all right now. Retirement Fund Director Paula Blas sending a follow-up letter to GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho on June 15th, reminding him of the delinquent contributions owed from the last 5 pay periods to the retirement fund. Blas said the Retirement Fund Board of Trustees, in accordance with its fiduciary responsibility, may decide to file a writ of mandate if payment is not paid immediately. The arrears prevents any hospital employee who wants to retire from doing so and increases the potential for civil and criminal penalties to be assessed, she said. Meanwhile, GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho has now turned over to Senator Dennis Rodriguez the deficiency report issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, along with Camacho's plan to correct those deficiencies. Rodriguez is co-chair of the legislature's Special Investigating Committee, which is looking into allegations of mismanagement and corruption at GMH. Rodriguez issued a legislative subpoena for the documents last Wednesday after Camacho said he was restricted from releasing it for 90 days. The next day, Governor Calvo called on the GMH administrator to provide the documents to the legislature, urging Camacho to work with senators in hopes that that would help them understand the hospital's financial challenges and head off efforts to repeal the sales tax, which will in part provide funding for GMH. Camacho, in a release on Saturday, said that he sought permission from CMS to release the documents but got no response. At the end of the day, he states in his release that he will be held to account for publicly releasing the documents prematurely and not the politicians. Camacho also said that contrary to numerous and hurtful assertions, he remains fully confident in the ability of GMH staff to address the deficiencies cited by CMS. Rodriguez told the Daily Post on Friday that his staff is reviewing the documents and redacting any protected health information. Once that's done, he said they will be released to the public. We'll have more news after this.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital X-rays, and 4D ultrasounds, FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. An audit report released yesterday by the Office of Public Accountability found repeat as well as new shortcomings in how the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority reviews who benefits from federally funded housing programs. The audit identifies weaknesses in the process of verifying whether recipients, that is, qualify, including eligibility documentation that was not on file, erroneous calculations of a tenant's income, and lack of certification for those who did not file tax returns, which are required to qualify for the program. The audit report also cites an unresolved issue with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which wants GURA to repay about $2 million in HUD funds that it was supposed to spend on a new GURA building, but did not. A little more than $4 million in tax refund checks printed Friday will be mailed out today. DOE Administrator Edward Byrne Friday telling the Special Economic Services meeting that the tax amnesty had brought in sufficient funds to allow the doubling of refund disbursements weekly from $2 million previously to $4 million now. The refund checks are being issued today. They're going out to 1,308 families, and they cover Status A returns filed up to February 8th. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with weather.
Just trying to get myself in good voice here. I want to have an excellent weather delivery at this time.
Are you ready?
Good luck.
Partly cloudy skies with isolated showers. East winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Daytime highs today near 88 degrees and overnight lows of about 77 degrees. Sunset tonight about 6:51. Sunrise this morning was at 5:55. As we like to do, we'll take a look at the radar and see what the short range weather is going to be looking like for you this morning. With details on that, Michael Knight.
In the short term, not looking too bad. Got things starting to settle down after the overnight diurnal cycle, as we do here in the tropics. So things quieting down. Looks like it'll stay that way through today and most of tomorrow, but by tomorrow evening could be some stuff moving in from the east that could bring us a few more showers and maybe even a thunderstorm or two. But for today, and there's that blobbage, you can see it off to the east-southeast there. That'll be swinging through, and it may be on actually a faster track than what the Weather Service had predicted. So it may even start affecting things as late as overnight tonight.
Will it start blowing away some of that fog?
No, not going to really do much of that. Yeah, because the winds are going to stay pretty much the same. And it's actually kind of a mystery where this haze is coming from, because one would assume it's coming from Kilauea, but we've also had Sakurajima erupt over in Japan.
Sacagawea. I remember that, yeah, from the... I have the coin.
Nice. And you know, we're kind of in the middle of all of that. And there was no mention at all in the weather, on Saturday at least, of any haze or anything. But clearly you could see it in the air, and especially yesterday morning. I took some pictures and sent it out.
This morning?
Yeah, it was really nice, but a little hazy. Yeah, I would say if you have any acute breathing problems, you may want to kind of stay inside as much as possible, but it shouldn't really bother too much. It makes for pretty sunrises and sunsets.
It sure does. 6:14 news and weather together here, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Portions of the program at 6:14 brought to you by my friends over at King's Restaurant. It's Monday, and that means we start a whole new week of your lunchtime favorites that they've got there. And on Mondays, the lunchtime favorite is... It's not meatloaf. No, it's the other red meat. Salisbury steak.
Yes.
Is it Salisbury steak or Salisbury steak?
I always called it Salisbury. I mean, you know... What do I know? It's a British word, isn't it?
I don't know. I thought it was named after the Salis family. What do you think, Bob?
I believe it's Salisbury steak.
There we go. He's been places.
That's how they pronounce it in the Marines. Okay.
Not quite sure, but I believe that's it.
I didn't know you had that capability.
Yes, quite so.
Man of many talents here. It's former Senator Bob Klitsky. Another training day before I get on the airplane first thing tomorrow morning. And a couple of interesting stories to tell you about in a second. But I do just a reminder, daily lunch specials going on over at King's. They got the Pick 2, Pick 3 combo. Try that for lunch today at King's.
Splash into summer savings and take advantage of our amazing deals on the best Samsung smartphones. Get the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus for only $149, the S9 for only $99, or the Galaxy Note 8 for only $99 as well. But these amazing deals won't last long. Come into a GTA store today to save big. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for details. Offer ends June 30th. GTA, your island, your network.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at American President Lines. APL is shipping the future.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any two toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
That's what I'm working on this morning. I got a big case we've got to crack wide open here in the talk media, talk radio world. And it comes from intrepid listener Neats on the Facebook Live this morning. Says there's a story floating around about fake or counterfeit spam in Hawaii's Chinatown. How about that? Hey, welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. This is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Kevin Kerrigan has already delivered headlines today, and it's always nice to start the day with a dose of news. And the good news that there are $4 million worth of tax refunds out in the community.
On the way.
On the way.
In the mail.
Printed them out. And they've got the signatures down there, and they put the stamp on the thing, and they stuck a little Bota sticker inside as well.
Thanks to the tax amnesty.
That's the deal, huh? And now there were some folks that said that wasn't going to work. There was a bunch of people that said no, it's not going to bring in the kind of money that you think it's going to bring. It's not going to make that much of a difference. But for the people that are expecting tax refunds, apparently that's not necessarily the case. Mike Knight gets phone when you call 888-8255. That number again is 888-8255. And as I said earlier, I've got a little bit of travel that I've got to take care of. Some work that, honestly, it's work that I've got to do in Singapore. So subbing for me over the next couple of days is actually for the remainder of the week is former senator, talk show host in his own right, Bob Klitsky. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ray.
Did you have a good weekend?
Couldn't have been better.
Did you figure out what you were going to talk about for 4 days while you're subbing for me, or?
I've
just
got some
wing it.
pretty good ideas.
Just wing it like we do.
Okay.
Just come on in here, take a look at see whatever Kevin is reporting, and then just riff on that for 4 hours.
Well, you seem to fill the hours with all kinds of interesting chat, Ray, so if I can do that, well, I'll be very happy.
Well, I think you shouldn't have a problem, and I'm sure there's a number of people that are looking forward to hearing you solo on the program. In fact, on Facebook Live this morning, let me just go and let's get the Cheers thing started.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
All right, so it's already started. Ken Leon Guerrero writes, how can the David Cruz story hope to compete against fake spam in Hawaii's Chinatown?
Ken makes a very good point, Ray, on the point, right?
Albert Eliason says, Semper Fi, Bob. Levon Guerrero Meno is online. I see Melissa Perlowski. Where's Nick? Normally Nick's on first. And Yoich Ringil, good morning. Greg Karabrock, good morning. Trisha Cruz. Hey, TC, nice to see you up here. Yoich, I already said Yoich. And the very pretty Ashley Calvo Rodriguez. And I make a big deal about this because she is very, very attractive, very young and attractive woman. And she is the daughter of Dennis Rodriguez, and she's always on the Facebook Live, and also on Facebook Live everywhere else. So she posted yesterday afternoon a can of beer, Sunset Hunter beer, or something like that.
Right.
And I didn't know it was beer. I thought it was what I thought it was beer, and she didn't want anybody to know she was drinking it, so she put like a label around it. But apparently, this is an actual legitimate beer that you can go find somewhere.
Who
and
makes
so,
it? Did anybody know?
I don't know. I don't have all the explains on this. She said she was going to buy me some. Actually, she didn't say she was going to buy me some. I asked her to buy me some.
Okay.
And she didn't say no outright. But she was wondering if it was going to be in exchange for the countless plugs that I give to her on the radio. No, those are for free, and we'll work on something else here. Mary Cruz is online. Lynn, Vince, Borja Polino, and Brad Hewitt, and Chad Adnerson, and Marcy Winston, R.D. Gibson. My nephew is on. I see Lillian Cruz, Jane Pareto Sasai. Good morning, Jane. Nice to see you there. Big sister Shelley Gibson, Pete Guerrero, and Bob Lizama, Carl, and Jerry Gutierrez. Carl's his first comment was for you. He said, "Good morning, Bob."
Yeah. Good morning, Carl.
I see Greg Massey. I see Ron Nefzei, Glenn Castro, and Juanita Machi, who last week on the 100th episode of the Ray Gibson Show won herself a whole house water purification system from American Water Tech, and we're just all of us very, very thrilled about that. So, what am I looking for? Where's the story on? Wait a second, dude. I thought you were. Is this Ken? Is this clean? Can I run this as is?
I'm kind of lost on the whole spam thing. I mean,
well, I thought he was sending me a link to the spam story. I'm having a hard time finding that. Every link that I've clicked on so far on the fake spam in Chinatown keeps coming back with a story about how there is a black market for spam, and like we had an issue here, and it wasn't that long ago. It's just in the last few weeks. I just haven't heard any new stories about it.
Right.
Where guys are going in and stealing spam, and they're stealing the corned beef. Right out from under the eyes of the store owners. So they'll have somebody go up. It's like they do this in a gang, right? So you'll have 2 or 3 people that will go up to the counter and distract the cashier. And while they're doing that, somebody else goes behind and will pick up a couple of cases of these canned meat products and take them outside. Sometimes they get caught. Sometimes they don't get caught. And there is apparently a blossoming black market for all of this stuff. But that's the regular spam, or the corned beef, or what's the other one that's not spam? there's 2 of these pork-like products out there. What's the other one?
Dog food.
Kevin, how can you say such a thing? This spam that's tomorrow's steak. For goodness sakes, you can't.
I think it's oxen palm, right?
Well, oxen palm is the what's the oxen palm is the corned beef, but isn't there another one like a DAC or something like that?
I have no idea.
So maybe what the story is maybe what people are doing is they'll steal the spam-like product,
right,
and then relabel it as spam, and then I suppose you could probably sell it for more.
See, here we have a food product that's already made from all the parts of a pig that you can't make anything else with. So they smash it all together and make it into spam. I can't imagine that the counterfeit would really be all that bad. By the way,
how could it not be?
Ken says
it can't be any worse, right?
Where does this hostility towards spam come from? Did you have a bad experience with it once upon a time?
Just not my favorite meat.
Okay. Well, do you have a favorite canned product? Just to get started here, because I got a thing.
Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
When I was a little boy, Grandma would make, this is something I'm sure Bob knows. This is you get the Navy ship biscuits, the little that come in a 4-pack with the white plastic cover.
Saloon Pilot. Yeah.
Those are so good, aren't they? And then you take some of the potted meat food product, not any ordinary dressing that you put on. So it's potted meat food. It's the stuff that they make that they won't put in spam.
Right.
it's the last thing down the refinery, and it's we missed the spam boat on this one, but you take that stuff and you slather it on the biscuit. That's tasty.
You need it for typhoons.
I was going to say that's typhoon food is the way we do that. 6:25 in the morning.
I've been told that the video and everything is clean.
It is clean. Okay, so I can and should air it.
Well,
it
is the Ray Gibson show. So.
Well, take a look at it. It's apparently a deal that how do I want to say this? It's Dave Cruz singing for his job. So we'll talk about that after I've had a chance to review. Because now that I know it's clean, it's broadcast quality, I'm sure there's no bad words in it, right? However, will it be entertaining? I don't know. We got a guy, he's a ROTC instructor, he's an Army guy, and I don't know how well he's going to be singing on this. This could actually push listeners away.
Dave isn't exactly a stand-up comedian.
No, I'm sure. Well said. So $4 million in refund bucks are out there. That's good news for people that are owed money. This goes through all the way through the 6th, Kevin, and a touch of the 7th?
No, the 8th.
The 8th, all the way through the...
Not through the 8th, up to the 8th.
Up to the 8th. Okay, so we're getting closer and closer to April 15th, and frankly surprised that they have been able to keep the numbers up. I figured a couple of $1 million here, a couple of $1 million there, but over the last 2 weeks, it's been $4 million at a time, right? And so for a total of, where are we now, 50-some?
Yeah, 52, 54, I think, somewhere around there.
All right, tax refunds. Try to make a big deal about it, because I know that there's a lot of people that are expecting these refunds, but I don't want to make a big deal because Adelup wants to make a big deal about sending these dollars out. Frankly, they're your dollars. You've overpaid a tax somewhere, and these are your dollars coming back to you. So for there to be any kind of political hay to be made out of it, well, I don't think so, because it's yours, and it's one of the things that they're supposed to be doing. I got to get my hands on that audit that they did over at Gura. Very critical of some of the ways they are mishandling applications and information. Who do they think they are? The Chamorro Land Trust Commission? It's not quite the giggle I was going for. Just 2 days left to file for your candidacy. That number is in my head. I was out goofing off on Friday, and a fella comes up to me, and I was going to go up to him because he was wearing his colors, a Vietnam vet. And he had the hat, and he had the vest to prove it. And I wanted to go up to him and say hello. And besides, he was sitting with my aunt, so I figured it would be a great opportunity to go and say hello to her as well. But he came up to me and said, "Ray, I haven't seen your petition out there." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Aren't you running?" And I said, "No." He says, "Well, I saw the ad in the Daily Post a couple of months ago. Isn't that a campaign ad? I thought there was going to be more of those coming up." And so I went through the process, explained to him about having to wake up the brand. I hadn't been on the air for a couple of years, and so I wanted to make sure that people would remember me. So we went through this facade of me running for political office. Now, it was a facade on purpose, as opposed to some of the names that you're going to see that we'll be talking about later, who's doing a facade for real in what they're trying to do in office. But more on that a little bit later on. And so he says, "Well, I mean, there's still a chance that you might be able to run for office, isn't there?" And the answer to that question, we've been through this a couple of times, is I could do it, but I would have to provide equal time, is my understanding, to the other senatorial candidates. And that would mean that everybody that is running for office would get a morning show.
It'd be a lot of folks.
So you mean you're not going to go and turn in your paperwork before you get on the plane today?
Well, what I'm thinking, it depends on what happens with Dave Cruz. So if the Dave, and I know that Bob is he's chomping at the bit. He's waiting. He's looking at me going, come on. Ask me what I think. Ask me what I think about the Dave. The problem, I normally would, and I will. Here's the deal, though. I can't do it now because headlines are in 60 seconds. There's no way we're going to get through the conversation and get totally updated on where we are and the new, what I'm going to refer to as the martyr tactic that Dave and Dennis are doing right now. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more. There's a few other items in the table of contents. The idea that maybe we need to start thinking about phasing out cockfighting. It's not necessarily in the language, as I understand it, of the current version of the Farm Bill. But as it goes through the Senate, it's language that could be added. What is interesting about the Farm Bill is how much disinformation there is floating around about the SNAP program and the idea that what did the congressman refer to them as draconian rules. What they want to do is they want to make it so that able-bodied people that can work go out and actually find some kind of employment, at least 20 hours a week, or take a class. And they say, well, this is going to be terrible for single parents. There's certain groups it doesn't apply to, including seniors. And so I want to make sure that there's both sides of that story floating around, because I'm one of those guys. If you are going to be living off the taxpayer dole, I think there's something that you need to give back every once in a while. The Japanese refer to them as comfortably poor, and I think we have a bunch of those kind of folks around here that are in the system unnecessarily because they are capable of going out and finding some kind of employment. At 6:30 in the morning, headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Hafa-day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Federal Communications Commission urging the government of Guam to stop its practice of transferring money out of the E911 fund for other purposes. In a letter to the governor recently, FCC Commissioner Michael O'Reilly asked Adelup to stop diverting the funds. O'Reilly writing that it's beyond disappointing to learn that your territory has made a habit of diverting these funds for other purposes. At a recent public hearing, Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas acknowledged that transferring the funds for local operations was contrary to federal mandates. Every month, phone customers are assessed $1 on their phone bills, which is supposed to go into the E911 fund to help maintain and upgrade the emergency system. The governor, however, responding that Guam created the E911 fund, but he maintains the 2018 Budget Act provides him with the authority to transfer or spend the money without prior appropriation. However, Speaker Benjamin Cruz countering that the same budget law includes a section requiring the fire department to spend that money only on the E911 system. Gubernatorial candidate Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr.'s running mate David Cruz has received an ultimatum from the Guam Department of Education. Quit the campaign or quit your job as a Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps instructor at JFK High School. But Rodriguez's running mate has announced that he will do neither. In a statement, Cruz said, "I am not withdrawing from the race, and I find it highly suspect that all this is happening just days before the filing deadline, which is tomorrow." If Cruz drops out, Rodriguez would be left without a running mate with just 2 working days until the deadline. At issue is Cruz's pay as a JFK instructor before he officially entered the race. Former Senator Bob Klitsky has petitioned Guam DOE to stop paying Cruz, saying it's illegal to keep Cruz on the payroll as a teacher while he's running for political office. Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson has assigned her office's white-collar crime division to investigate allegations of suspected forgery of campaign documents. The Attorney General on Friday acknowledged receipt of a memorandum from the Guam Election Commission. The memo documents allegations that first surfaced when a GEC employee's name was found on one of the nominating petitions submitted by the gubernatorial campaign of Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio and former Senator Tony Atta. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan told the Post that she knew that the signature was forged because it was the signature of a GEC staffer, Alberto Sanga, who denied signing the petition. Pangilinan said even though they're not handwriting experts, they can say it's fraudulent because they know the signatures of everybody who works there. In a statement to the Post, the Attorney General said the allegations will be fully investigated. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time is 6:33. Connect longer for less with iConnect's incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Nothing traffic. I'm looking at the gizmo right now. I think it's too early for people to get up and drive, or maybe everybody's scared of that haze that we can't figure out is coming from the Kilauea or Sacagawea and Pocahontas. Yeah, I'll figure it out in a second. But yeah, I'm looking at the traffic thing. I don't see any major traffic issues that are going to be in front of you. But if you see something that you think the other drivers need to know about, speed traps. I'm sorry, JI asked me to stop referring to them as speed traps. So we'll use the approved language, ambushes. You see, that's what I was thinking. If you see one of those things, 888-8255, that's 888-TALK 635. That's right now traffic on the point.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters.
Well, imagine this. To extend the weekend, 1 in 5 people admits to calling in sick. Apparently, we're not above lies when it comes to extending the weekends. A survey says 1 in 5 adults admit that they have planned to call in sick and extend their weekend into 3 days. Young adults 18 to 34 are more likely than their older colleagues to call in sick when they're really not. 32% in that group are doing that. Have you ever done that, Bob? No. Bob doesn't strike me as Mikey. Bob doesn't strike me as the kind of person that does that. Would go out and fabricate a story about not feeling good just to extend their weekend by a whole day. Oh. Yeah. So, where were the headlines on Friday? Where'd we end up? It was Friday afternoon, laying on the couch, and all of a sudden I started getting pings and email notifications that there might have been something happening with Dave. Guys over at KUAM, apparently there's a document floating around from the Attorney General's office. Have you heard such a thing?
What I heard was that there was a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation may have been with the Attorney General, may have been with the Superintendent of Education. I'm not sure. And then there was also a very colorful release that came out on a listserv from the Rodriguez Cruz camp.
I thought I saw that. Yeah. I saw bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, it's very nicely done.
Cruz, what's the headline on it? Cruz chooses public service.
Yeah. Public service.
So what's the gist of that documentation?
The gist of it is that Cruz was given an ultimatum that you can continue your campaign, and we'll fire you, or you can continue on with or you could quit your job and continue on with your campaign. So it was
Those are the three choices left to him. Keep running.
Yeah.
But you can quit. And no harm, no foul, or we can fire you.
Yep.
And then you can continue to run or drop out of the race.
That's right.
Okay.
Those are the three choices. And in this release, it is Dave Cruz says, I'm going to keep teaching because I've committed myself to teach right down until the time that I'm sworn in. I'm not going to leave my kids behind, etc. And besides, this is all politics. And in addition to that, the Attorney General, the Attorney General and the Department of Education knew back in February that the reason I was changing my status was so that I could run for lieutenant governor. That's basically where we were on Friday night.
Well, it sounds like everybody had a different interpretation of what the law might have been prior to all of this, and maybe something as simple as classified to unclassified was going to remedy his otherwise ineligibility to run for public office.
Well,
but based on your read of the law, that's not so.
It is not so, and it has never been so, except it's been popular mythology for quite some time.
You brought up when we were talking about certain moves at Adelup, Tello Taitigui becoming a special assistant.
Yes,
and you had indicated that would seem to have been done in the same attempt to be able to put her in an unclassified position so that she could run for office.
That's correct, because a special assistant to the governor is not covered by our Hatch Act.
Right. So she would continue to be eligible in that position.
She could continue to work and run for office like Amanda Bloss, knocking down $100,000 at the Self-Determination Commission, candidate for senator. She can work right on up until she's sworn in.
All right, 20 away from the top of the hour, and so those are, I think, some interesting revelations. But I did want to get started with Maria Pangilinan. Up early, and this is one of my favorite things about her, is she's one of those public officials that we can count on for access. Big deal over at the Guam Election Commission. Just a couple of days left to file for candidacy, so I'll give you an opportunity, Maria, to go ahead and stump and remind all of the people that picked up packets, if they're serious, they've got to get them in between now and close of business tomorrow, right?
That's correct.
Well, good morning to you. It's always nice to hear your voice. I hope you had a good weekend.
Yes, we did. Thank you. Ray, today is also the first day that the candidates for public auditor for the special election, today is the first day they can file. And tomorrow is their deadline.
So they can file today. Tomorrow's the deadline, but there are no requirements for them to come in with the same level of signatures and other documentation as there are for senatorial or gubernatorial candidates, right?
That's correct. It would be pretty efficient to go get a Superior Court clearance, a District Court clearance, and a police clearance, and then come to the office and sign off on 2 documents. And if they're currently a public official, they don't have to file their financial disclosure statement because it would already be on file, or they would have been granted an extension. And they would also have to file an organizational report of their campaign or whatever activity they're going to have towards their candidacy for public auditor.
Okay, understood. Now, my understanding is that Senator B.J. Cruz has decided that he is going to stay in the public service field and should have already picked up or will be ready to pick up and drop off a packet for his candidacy for the public auditor position. Yuka Hechanova, I understand, has picked up a packet, but she's a close personal friend. She has not indicated to me yet whether she's made a decision on whether or not she is going to be running for that position, notwithstanding BJ's deciding that he was going to be running. And Doreen Crisostomo, who you'll recall a couple of years ago, ran against Doris Brooks. My understanding is that she has also picked up a packet, but I don't know what she has been doing. Has former Governor Gutierrez filed yet?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. You know what? I sorry, Kevin was asking the question. I remember now. Yes, he did. A few weeks ago, he had a hot dog and hamburger barbecue directly across from the Guam GCIC building.
He was the second gubernatorial team to file.
Yeah. And so long ago, I think people might have forgotten about that, and maybe that's the case. There's another issue that you guys are chewing on over at the Guam Election Commission, and in a story, I want to say, is the front page of somebody's newspaper, where apparently somebody in a newsroom had gone and started making phone calls to some of the names that are on the Tenorio ADA petitions, and found that these individuals, the ones that they contacted, had not in fact signed the petition, didn't know what they were talking about. No, I haven't seen that. I didn't sign that. Does that add fuel to any conversations you guys are having there about investigating the breadth of the 1,100 or so signatures that have been dropped off by that campaign?
Well, we will have a meeting this week. And a second point to that is we have written to the Attorney General about that matter. So it's already at the Attorney General, and the meeting again will be discussed this week about the findings out there in the public.
Right. Are you guys doing anything along those lines at the Election Commission? I mean, I understand that you always examine the documentation. You're looking for people that might have signed the same petition twice, and any number of other things you guys are looking at. But do you also make random phone calls, random contacts to people that have signed petitions to ensure that they have indeed signed the petition and it wasn't a fabrication of one of the campaign helpers?
Well, at this time, sir, I'm looking forward to accepting more petitions. So it depends on what happens at 8 o'clock this morning. We have, and I put together a protocol to start going over some. In the meantime, the priority is still with vetting the nominating petitions that are being submitted. As of Saturday afternoon, we have gone through the documents that were submitted on Friday. So it would depend on our workload when we get to that.
Well, we're talking about the deadline for these nominating petitions and paperwork for the candidates to be turned in by the close of business tomorrow, right? So if there are continuing discrepancies on something like that, or if you find that there's a batch of them, and I'm not just saying it's a Tenorio ADA campaign, it could be anybody else's campaign. You get some of these workers, they get lazy, they're under the deadline, they start fudging the names and gun ducking their petitions. So it's possible that we might find some more of these kinds of issues. So would that necessarily cause for a pause in the action until the Attorney General's office can come up with their commentary and their report?
There are two meetings tentatively scheduled for the Guam Election Commission Board. One will be to apprise them of the progress or where we are at, to update them of where we are at as far as vetting all the documents. And the second meeting was to tentatively schedule the ratification of the candidates. Nobody gets on the ballot until the full commission says they are ready to get on the ballot based on the findings of the staff. So during the meeting, we will we will bring it up to. They will be able to discuss it.
Yeah, there's certainly a little bit of uncertainty that is floating around regarding the validity of these signatures, and I think maybe it would be a wise thing, personally, to have somebody start real fast. Let's go through the 1,100 names and start calling all of them and finding out whether or not they actually signed that petition.
Well,
and when we get to 500 valid ones, that's it. We stop.
Yes, you know, Ray. With all the petitions that were turned in, if we're talking about the gubernatorial teams, all the gubernatorial teams turned in enough nominating signatures so that I am confident that we will find, if the signature expert came, we will find 500 valid signatures.
Okay, well, we'll watch and see what happens. So a couple of meetings between here and there, and then we'll look for the certification of the official certification of candidates. Maria, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for the time. Thank you for your time, and please encourage everybody to file before 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh yes, well, I mean, because to us that's the big deal. That's the first of the weeding out of the wheat and the chaff, if you will. That's the one where we start to say, okay, these are the serious people that are actually going to be staying in the game. Interesting. Over the weekend, we started hearing that Kate Baltazar had suspended her campaign.
Yes, she was actually in the office, and I was very, very sad to hear that she had done that.
Did she give you any indication why? I've got at least one person on the Facebook Live this morning that says that maybe she didn't get a position that would allow her to work and campaign at the same time, and maybe that's why she decided that she was going to suspend her campaign.
You know, the position of the Guam Election Commission is the more good candidates we have on the ballot, the better the voter participation.
Don't disagree with that. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 6:48 in the morning, Maria Pangilinan from the Guam Election Commission talking about certain events and timelines that they have. If you are one of the 100 or so people that have picked up packets for a variety of positions with this upcoming election, I urge you to go ahead and dot your I's, cross your T's, go over your petitions, make sure these are actual people that you know, and if somebody signed off certifying that these are legitimate signatures, you better just call them once or twice today and say, are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? When I was a student at the University of Guam, long time ago, and I will preface this by saying I've never been good at being a student anywhere, but I was at the University of Guam, and we were taking a communications class at the time. Imagine that, me involved in a communications class. And we were talking about specifically market research and different ways that you could conduct different kinds of market research opportunities, intercept interviews, maybe calling somebody up on the telephone and asking them what they thought about certain issues, just trying to find out, where the pulse of the community might be. And so one of the exercises was we were supposed to go out and conduct one-on-one surveys with people. So I would be at the, goofing off at the post office. I'd see Bob Klitsky and say, Bob, can you fill in, your thoughts on this issue? You like the governor? Do you think the teacher strike is a good thing? End of the day, blah, blah, blah. And so have I mentioned on the air at any time that I'm the laziest person you know? So did I go out and get my 25 survey forms filled out like I was supposed to in time for the deadline imposed by my professor at the University of Guam? Of course not. It was doomed from the start. They should have just taken the 25 and thrown them away. Or given them to the other more motivated kids in the class. So I did what I suspect might have been done in a few instances here with these petitions, and somebody saying, I got to get 5 more names on this thing. Somebody name 5 people that you know, and I'll put those down, and we'll come up with a couple of phony baloney addresses and things like it. It's possible that that's what happened, right? It's possible that's what was going on with this campaign helper.
Well, in addition to that, a gentleman named Ordonez, I think, confessed to submitting an unsworn falsification to the Election Commission because he signed on more than one petition that he had seen the people actually execute their signatures on, and they hadn't, which in a sense is even more serious than the matter of the forged signature.
Do you suppose that ought to be the first thing that they try to punch through at the Attorney General's office?
Yes.
Is identifying what you referred to last week as him perjuring himself.
Yeah, I'm going to downgrade that to unsworn falsification. I would have thought that the legend on the bottom of the form would have been a declaration under penalty of perjury, but it's not. So it would be an unsworn falsification.
Well, it's still bad news.
Yes, sir.
In either case. 6:52 in the morning. Ken LG's on. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. So you got a hold of that direct mail piece from Dennis as well, which in it he claims that David Cruz chose public service over money, when nothing could be further from the truth. He definitely chose money over public service, and that's why I put that little homage together for him.
No, I'll play it. I need to. What's the word I'm looking for? I just need to sanitize it through the break. So let me take a look at it and make sure that it is up to our usual broadcast quality standards here at the Point, and then we'll unleash it on the unsuspecting public. How's that sound?
That sounds good, because I mean this has been an issue for the public ever since he came out. This has been an issue that people have been talking about. And the fact that this is like 1984, you know, we're twisting things around. I mean, Dennis's campaign is twisting words around in such a way that, you know, bad is good, black is white, yes is no. And refusing to resign is standing up for public service instead of money, when it's all about the money.
Stay in there, stay in the game. Well, it is apparently there's apparently enough in here in this story to see where the shoe is going to drop today, because we're talking about not threats but instructions, I suppose, provided by John Fernandez to Dave Cruz late last week. And I have not, the only thing that I've heard in any direction, one way or the other, is that he is choosing to stay in the classroom, and they're apparently forcing the issue to get him fired.
That's the way it looks.
Yeah, I mean that's so he's making that deal. He's going, okay, I'm not going anywhere. If you want me out, you're going to have to take me out, kicking and screaming from this classroom.
But when I'm not in the classroom, it won't be because I didn't go. It wasn't because I didn't want to be there.
Yeah. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen on that. And do you suppose if he is terminated, you know, does John have the grounds to do something like that?
Well,
my concern is he's going to stay in, and if they win, he's going to keep both jobs and ring the bell close to $250,000 a year.
As far as grounds, they've both claimed that that David is an unclassified employee. If he's an if he's an unclassified employee, you can fire him for a good reason or no reason, or
basically at will.
That's right.
Okay, all right. Well, it's like, because the last thing that we're going to need is another lawsuit, and have you know, super high lawyer fees that the guys over at the Department of Education don't have to be able to support anything like that. Well, you'd take that case pro bono, though, right?
Well, I used to say back in the days when I was in practice that anything that generates fees for lawyers can't be all bad, Ray.
I hear that. So this is, and Ken is right. People are talking about this over the weekend. I was sitting amongst a number of educators. Don't ask me how it happened. It just did. And obviously this came up. But it was also a group of people that I value for their strategic thought. And the question was, what's Bob Klitsky up to here?
He's up to something, I can tell you that.
Well, so that's what. So we're all trying to figure out what that something is. And somebody had proposed what you were trying to do was, and what they were trying to figure out was who Bob Klitsky is trying to embarrass. Are you trying to embarrass Dennis and or Dave or John Fernandez? And I said, well, two birds, one stone. What, is there a problem?
Well, first of all, I'm trying not to embarrass myself, Ray, and sometimes that's quite a job in all by itself.
Yeah, you know, every day we're in front of a hot microphone, there's ample opportunity for that.
That's very true. That's very true. There is something that in our system that promotes what we're seeing here with the whole Dave Cruz phenomenon, and that is that some people can keep their government jobs and run for public office. We ought to change that. We ought to say if you're working for the government, you can't run for public office. because we wind up with the Dave Cruz phenomenon. We talk in terms of, we elect different people to office, but it always seems like we get the same thing. Well, we're always drawing from that same insider pool. So if you couldn't run for public office while you're on the government payroll, I think that would bring about quite a change.
Just for the purposes of the discussion, Dave Cruz is not necessarily a political insider. He doesn't strike me as the kind of person who has made a lot of bones about being, running with that hot legislature, that jet set go-go crowd over at the legislature, the jet set go-go crowd at Adelup.
When it was first, I was at the GFT banquet. In fact, I guess they were scraping the bottom of the barrel that night because they wanted me to speak. But I was so happy to hear that Dave was actually going to run for lieutenant governor. Cause,
you mentioned, yeah?
Yeah, he's a guardsman, a former U.S. property and fiscal officer, a teacher, et cetera. And I thought, finally, we're going to get somebody from outside of that little cadre of people that seem to have an awful lot of political influence. I thought Dave would make a very good candidate. And then this comes along. What a shock.
Yeah.
What a disappointment.
Yeah, we'll spend a little bit more time talking about that. It is possible that there's a shoe that's going to drop. I don't know exactly when. We were hoping to get Lulian Guerrero. Apparently, she had a conversation with John Fernandez over the weekend or in the last few days, and so I wanted to find out a little bit about what the contents of that conversation were, and would it lead to perhaps some kind of closure on the conversation that we are having now. But we are a couple of days out from the filing deadline, a few hours out actually from the filing deadline, and we're at the Guam Election Commission. And what is your read on the situation if Dave Cruz decides to pull out of the campaign? Where does that leave Dennis?
Well, it leaves Dennis in a very awkward situation because a person can run for office and lose. It happens all the time. And when you turn your papers in, that's a definite possibility. If you want to congratulate a candidate, congratulate him when he starts, not when he wins, because it takes a lot. But some people not only lose, they wind up as losers, and I'm afraid that's could be a possibility for Dennis here if Cruz bails out now.
Yeah, wouldn't have enough time to go out and start a whole new campaign to get things done. So is there something political behind it, a push besides the one that you are on for the reasons that you've explained? It's 7 o'clock in the morning. We're really, really close to it. Ken, I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
I will look forward to it.
All right, just hovering around the radio. That's a good thing. Today in Chinatown, a couple was busted taking the real Spam out of the cans and replacing the meat with some kind of meat byproduct, possibly dog and cat food. The counterfeit cases of Spam were going to be shipped to the mainland. The real Spam was sold at discount to locals. Somehow they had access to new empty Spam cans and were able to reseal the can of fake meat. Oh, Lord help us. Kevin's got this big smile on his face. What did he say? What did the man on the radio? I just said that not a half hour ago. Hey, look, KUSG, Hagutnia, that's us. Here's Fox News Live.
A new deadline for the DOJ. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. House Republican leaders saying the latest material from the Justice Department related to the Russia investigation is incomplete, and they want the rest right away. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Steve, a letter to the Justice Department from House Intel Committee Chair Devin Nunes says the documents submitted are too few and raise more questions than answers. They've given DOJ until close of business Monday to comply fully. House Judiciary Committee Chair Bob Goodlatte on Fox's Sunday Morning Future says even then, that may not be all the leadership wants.
They still have a ways to go, and as this investigation proceeds, there are going to be more things that we identify that we want.
GOP leaders want documents that show if there were spies in the Trump campaign in 2016, how many there were, and how much was spent on the alleged plan, Steve.
Gernal, the Department of Homeland Security saying it has a well-coordinated process in place to reunite more than 2,000 child immigrants separated from their parents at the border.
A big turnout here at the point of entry in Tornillo. Hundreds of people protesting against that zero-tolerance immigration policy. Their focus is on all the shelters throughout the country, but specifically today, they're looking at that so-called tent city. That's where hundreds of boys and now girls are being housed.
Fox's Jeff Paul in Tornillo, Texas. President Trump reversing the family separation policy following pressure on both sides of the aisle.
This morning he tweeted, quote, "Democrats fix the laws, don't resist.
honest, we are doing a far better job than Bush and Obama, but we need strength and security at the border.
Fox's Ellison Barber at the White House. It's something most of us take for granted, going for a drive.
It's a matter of time to the society to accept it, generally.
She's one of many women in Saudi Arabia getting behind the wheel today for the first time after the kingdom lifted the world's last remaining ban on women driving. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yep, we kicked up our Pika chicken a notch with Sriracha. It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC is finger-licking good.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
2 San Diego police officers shot during a standoff at an apartment complex that also left the suspected gunman dead.
Police had received a call of a violent disturbance around 10 o'clock last night involving shouting between a man and possibly a woman. When officers arrived, they smelled smoke coming from inside the apartment but didn't get an answer from the occupant. Firefighters responded as well, and police breached the door. Everyone was forced to take cover when shots rang out. The 2 officers were both wounded and taken to an area hospital.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. It's unclear if the gunman was shot by officers or killed himself. It's a good time to gas up as the cost comes down for the first time in almost 4 months. Prices dropping about 6 cents to a national average of $2.95 for a gallon of regular.
The current price is 63 cents above what it was 1 year ago. That gap will be narrowing soon. It certainly is a disincentive for consumers at the pump.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey, which tracks prices nationwide. Dinosaurs stomped the competition at the box office.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom surpassed expectations to open with $150 million in ticket sales this weekend.
This is the most dangerous creature that ever walked the earth.
The film stars Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, daughter of Ron Howard. In second place, Incredibles 2 with $80.9 million.
We need to change people's perceptions about superheroes, and Elastigirl is our best play.
Better than me?
Coming in third, Ocean's 8, Tag in fourth, and Solo, A Star Wars Story, was fifth. Debbie Hanley, Fox News.
What would Zsa Zsa Gabor think? A 9-year-old English bulldog named Zsa Zsa is the world's ugliest dog, winning the annual contest in California. Zsa Zsa besting 13 other pooches for the title that none of them probably want. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Hey, it's your stomach talking. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Subway has all new signature wraps packed with meat and flavor. And I know flavor. Okay, maybe not as much as the mouth, that's kind of his job, but we talked, and he's a big fan of the Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese signature wrap. And it's super filling, so you don't have to hear from me for a few hours. Unless they play this radio spot again. Subway, make it what you want.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Federal Communications Commission is urging the government of Guam to stop its practice of transferring money out of the 911 emergency fund for other purposes. In a letter to the governor, FCC Commissioner Michael O'Reilly asking Adelup to stop diverting the funds, writing that it's beyond disappointing to learn that your territory has made a habit of diverting these funds for other purposes. At a recent public hearing, Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas acknowledged that transferring these funds for local operations was contrary to federal mandates. Every month, phone customers are assessed $1 on their phone bills, which is supposed to go into the E911 fund to help maintain and upgrade that emergency system. The governor responded to O'Reilly, saying that Guam created an E911 fund, but he maintains that the 2018 Budget Act provides him with the authority to transfer or spend the funds without prior appropriation. However, Speaker Benjamin Cruz countering that the same budget law includes a section requiring the fire department to spend the money on the E911 system alone. In addition, Cruz says that the section of the law Governor Calvo cites is only applicable for fiscal year 2018 and doesn't apply retroactively. Funding has been transferred out of that E911 fund in a number of prior years. Gubernatorial candidate Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr.'s running mate David Cruz has received an ultimatum from the Guam Department of Education: quit the campaign or quit your job as a Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps instructor at JFK High School. But Rodriguez's running mate David Cruz announcing he will do neither. I'm not withdrawing from the race, he said. And he said he finds it highly suspect that all this is happening just days before the filing deadline. If Cruz drops out, Rodriguez would be left without a running mate with just 2 working days until the deadline to submit nominating petitions, which is tomorrow. At issue is Cruz's pay as a JFK instructor. Before he officially entered the race, his pay status changed from being a full-time instructor under Guam DOE payroll to a contractor with a professional service agreement. Former Senator Bob Klitsky has petitioned Guam DOE to stop paying Cruz, saying it's illegal to keep Cruz on the payroll as a teacher while he's running for political office. We'll have more news after this.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
Chili's Rib Fest is back. You can get saucy with their fall off the bone, slow smoked half rack of ribs for $10.99. Available in original, roasted garlic, or honey chipotle flavors. Served with home style fries. Add an additional half rack of ribs for just $7. Low and slow is the key to more flavor. Chili's Rib Fest for $10.99. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson has assigned her office's white-collar crime division to investigate allegations of suspected forgery of campaign documents. The Attorney General Friday acknowledged receipt of the allegations from the Guam Election Commission. that at least one signature on a nomination petition for the Bota campaign was forged. The nominating petition was submitted by Eduardo Ordóñez. Ordóñez telling the Post last week that he gave the petition, which he certified as his, to someone else. He said that other person gathered the signatures on the list, which he then turned in to the Guam Election Commission under his own signature. He said he forgot who that other person was that he gave the nominating petition to. Barrett Anderson said the allegations will be fully investigated. A little more than $4 million in tax refunds printed Friday. They'll be mailed out today. DOA Administrator Edward Byrne telling the Special Economic Services meeting Friday at the legislature that the tax amnesty had brought in sufficient funds to allow the doubling of refund disbursements from $2 million during prior weeks to $4 million. The refund checks being issued today are going out to 1,308 families, and they cover Status A returns filed up to February 8th. To date this year, a little more than $59 million in tax refunds has been paid out, including the $4 million that is going to be mailed out today. That is more than half the estimated $115 million in tax refunds owed for 2017. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Here's Bob with some weather. This is a training day, so he's got to get used to being able to read Michael's weather. All right, go.
A fairly dry and quiet pattern will continue through tomorrow evening when wetter weather will move in from the east, resulting in brief periods of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms Tuesday night through Wednesday. Now here's your forecast. Partly cloudy with isolated showers, east winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing after sunset. Highs near 88, lows around 77. This is brought to you by Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, they place roots.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
It's Salisbury steak. That's what we're having for lunch today over at King's. I know how it is on Mondays. I know how it is. And you're sitting in the office and you're going to, well, we got to do like 20 people have got 20 different ideas on where we're going to go eat for lunch. You know what? Just forget those guys. Just say, we're going to King's, and that's all there is to it. I don't want to think about it anymore.
Salisbury steak is one of the things I can still eat.
Right? Because it's got the right
nice.
kind of mush,
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, this is my friend Kevin, Mike. He's still got these problems with his mouth and his teeth. So anyway, the King's for lunch today, please.
Morrico Equipment, located on Ipoh Road, Tamuning, is a heavy equipment dealership and was established on Guam in 1990. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. Morrico represents 23 heavy equipment manufacturers and supports those products on Guam with sales, rental, parts, and service. The Morrico Equipment rental fleet now comprises of 200 machines. Morrico also offers an on-site diesel delivery service and Trashco Guam, a roll-off trash container service. If you're interested in joining the Morrico ESOP ownership team, find out more on their website at morricoequipment.com.
Portions of the program also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital X-rays, and 4D ultrasounds, FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized, board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
Gus Jasangas from LV. Half a day from LV. Is that Las Vegas or is that Louis Vuitton? Are you actually calling from the store? It says, wow, Bob is awesome with the weather. Okay, don't need me anymore. I'm just going to split. You come over on this side, and this button opens the microphone, and press these buttons, and that gets people on the radio. And that's all you got to do.
Well, it was so well scripted, Ray, I couldn't miss.
The scripting was handled by Michael Knight, our resident meteorologist, or so. Okay, all right. I got time paperwork that I'm gonna take a look at in the coming minutes. I wanted to preview the video of Dave Cruz singing for his song that Ken sent, but the link I lost the link. Ken, so if you could do me a favor, resend that link, and I'll go ahead and open it up for real, and then we'll get a chance to play it. Now, there's also some audio that we're going to play a little bit later on. Kevin Kerrigan, who is a reporter, as you know, for the Guam Daily Post, oftentimes will conduct interviews, and he records those interviews. And he's got a couple of interviews. One of them with the guy Ordonez from over at the guy who signed off on the petitions.
Right.
And you have an interview with one of the names on the petitions that says, "I am not the supporter."
Right.
We'll hear both of those before the hour is all done. But first, we got to take a look at and see where the markets all ended up. So if you don't mind, let me get the skinny on all of this stuff. Mixed closings on the market as of Friday. The S&P 500 at 2,007. Sorry, they'll be back up here. 2,754. They're going to open tomorrow in the green by about 5 points. NASDAQ off by 20 points to close at 7,692. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up a little bit by 120 points to close at 24,580. FTSE is in the green. I've got the Nikkei off by 176 points, and Hang Seng trading at 29,338. They're up by 42 points. That's nice. Shanghai, very small market, but Shanghai index at 2889, up by 14 points. Now, you know I like looking at oil. $68.58 for a barrel of West Texas crude, and I'm trying to let me just take a look and see where it was on over the weekend. 68.58. Oh, 65.81 is where it was last week. That's bad. That number is up a little bit higher than I suppose it was. Okay, Ken, I appreciate you sending it to the email. I'll take a look there. And Tapas crude, for those of you that need some tapas in your life, 75.05. Did you guys hear about this on Friday? I guess they put a new Shell station up next to the Shell station on Route 16. Did you know? But this one's got a Foodies in it, and I guess there was I don't know whether if it was on purpose. And this is Friday I'm talking about, folks, not right now. So I don't want you to jump in a car and haul your oats over there. They were apparently selling the V-Power at the same price as they were, which is their premium blend. Right. They were apparently selling that at the same price as regular gasoline.
But I heard they were also, like, giving away regular gasoline.
Really?
That's what I heard, because they're trying to empty out their tanks, because they're closing that one down, so they got to empty out the tanks, and of course, it's easier just to sell it all than it is to try to pump it back out. And
really? Okay. I thought it was some kind of a grand opening gimmick or something like that. But I started getting pinged. But unfortunately, by the time I started getting pinged on this, it was all gone. We're finished.
Yeah,
okay, that lasted an hour or something like that. But congratulations. That is interesting that there's a new Shell station on Route 16, and it's got the Foodies. And the good news is it's on the same side of travel that I'm usually on that side of the street. That's how I calculate. That's how I do my road trips, is I figure out where is the gas station and try to go and make it so that they're on that side of the travel. So for me, it's just a left hand turn off the road and go get gas and go get supplies and Slim Jims and Mountain Dews and all of that stuff. 20 after 7 o'clock in the morning. And those are the numbers. Again, $68.58 for West Texas crude, 75.05, which is off a little bit from where it was on Friday. And next time we get around to doing this, I think the numbers are going to be presented by your friend Bob Klitsky. You know your way around a financial report, my friend?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. American Pacific Nursing Leaders Council. I need to get this on the air because they're going to be going into their first of their conferences this morning at the Hyatt Regency Guam. If Rosie Greeno has been in touch with you over the last couple of days, then this is what you are supposed to be lined up for. We've got continuing education credits, a cultural night, and a banquet, and they're going to be talking about nursing stuff, I guess, at these 3 or 4 days worth of conferences that are going to be taking place. Guam Nurses Association.org and the World Wide Web if you want more information. Otherwise, show up. I think you should be able to still sign up and get yourself lined up in those classes. It's 7:21 and time for Jerry Roberts to bring you today's Extra Point.
You've made it to the final interview for a job you really want. Congratulations. I'm Jerry Roberts, and today we're going to talk about a way for you to outshine your competition and get hired. That's next up on The Extra Point. If you missed the Friday episode, jump over to GuamTraining.com and download transcript number 97. It provides the first part of the hiring process, if there are multiple interviews. You made the list. You're in a final group of usually 3 to 5. It's rarely longer than that, especially if the CEO or GM is involved. You'll face questions from the company leader, the head of the division where you'll be working, and the HR manager also joins in. So what's the approach to this interview? It will be helpful to know who has the real power in the room. Do others seem to defer to one person? Distribute your eye contact evenly. But if you have a powerful answer to give, a real home run, maybe you lock eyes with that top person on that one. In any case, I believe that getting a premium job is as much about your mindset as it is about your list of accomplishments. As I've said before, you're interviewing them while they're interviewing you. This is two equal parties trying to figure out if each is good for the other. The employer should be trying to sell the candidate on why it's a terrific place to park their talents, just as much as the candidate is trying to position those talents as a great add-on for the employer. Answer their questions in positive, hopeful, can-do tones. Based upon your research, you should have developed a list of questions about the company, its direction, current performance, the specific challenges it faces, and how your position fits into the plan. I like to ask something like this. Where is the end zone? What are your expectations? And how do we measure when we've hit them? That should be a symphony for the ears of any leader who is hopefully thinking, show me something here. I'm about ready to hand somebody the keys to this important position, and I need them to produce big. Give me a reason for that somebody to be you. I want one person to outshine the rest and separate from the pack. I'm praying for the obvious choice. Ask me great questions. Make me work a little to provide answers. Make me want to engage you in conversation about our issues. Show me how you think. One more thing. Don't ever discuss inside information on any employer, either current or past. You may be tested on that to see how loose your lips are. I like a line like, I'm sorry, that's confidential information, and I can't discuss it. The same as I'll never talk about any sensitive issues for this company if we agree to work together. That should check off at least a couple of boxes for your interviewers. And if any interviewer at this level is offended by you asking questions about company performance and direction, then you're in the wrong place. And praise the Lord for making that clear, saving you from taking a job that would ultimately make you unhappy. Prepare well. Present well. May both you and your prospective employer come out winners. That's The Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 and The Ray Gibson Show, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Well, thanks very much, Jerry. Appreciate that. What did he say the episode number was? 97? So download that one. This should be 98. Right. So this one here was 98. So if you want the whole set, collect the entire thing. Every single one of our of the Extra Points transcripts are available at GuamTraining.com. It's 7:24 in the morning. We got some traffic coming up. We'll take a look at the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, the financial highlights of their audit, and frankly, it looks like, I was worried the CLTC might have been alone, the only agency in the government of Guam, quasi-agency that might have been playing loose and fast with some of the rules. No, apparently they've got company with Guam Housing and Urban Renewal. We'll take a look at some of the significant findings there. And going to see, I typed in a note for somebody I wanted you to call at 7:35. I'm changing my mind. I'm going to see if I can get somebody else on to give me some clarification. There's a bunch of stuff that's moving through my email box right now, including the video that Ken Leon Guerrero has got. So we might get into some of that here before too much longer, but also word that there is going to be an unveiling of candidate platforms between Dave and Dennis Rodriguez. It's supposed to be happening. Dennis also wants to spend some time talking about the CMS reports and the corrective plan of action that is going to be coming out. So that's possible that we'll be talking about it. And the last thing from this political insider is that Dave Cruz was, in fact, terminated on Friday. Now, did that happen before or after the press release, the MARTA release came out? We'll see what we can find out for you in the next bunch of minutes. 7:26, that's the Extra Point, and more Kevin Kerrigan with headlines after these.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
There's a little bit of traffic over at the across from where the Bank of Guam in Harmon is. Line of traffic that is moving from Marine Corps Drive up Route 16 into the Barragata area. And it looks like we've got a little bit of a slowdown over by Malakuti's place. Also possible that, me talking about the Shell gas station has got all kinds of people rolling in there saying, what did he say about free gasoline? No, it was Friday. It was you buy it at the regular rate right now over at that place. Looks like there's a few more cars than normal getting out in front of Anderson Air Force Base and Big Navy. Don't see anything major happening up by Naval Hospital right now. And the only other spots where I think you might run into a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a jam here, is on Marine Corps Drive. No, it's not Marine Corps Drive. It's on the way to Marine Corps Drive over by the 76, the Airport 76. That's the downstairs 76 over by leading up to the airport and Kmart. So watch out for a few more cars than normal through there. That's right now traffic here on The Point.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Also wanted to spend a little bit of time with Speaker B.J. Cruz this morning and sent him a note, said, I'll be looking for you early. And he just sent a note back, said, overslept, just woke up. He says in some of the reportage here that he's very, very concerned, losing sleep. God bless you. Losing sleep on what we're going to do in fiscal year 2019. If you take a look at the Guam Daily Post, you'll see a story that talks about $120 million worth of a budget shortfall based on different sets of numbers and different scenarios.
And possibly could go as high as 160.
Can you imagine that? $160 million. They're having a hard time right now trying to cover that $60 million, right? Add another $100 million to that shortfall, and I think what we're going to get left with here, my fellow taxpayers, I'm afraid that what we're going to get left with is not just the implementation of that 2% sales tax, but I don't think we're going to be going backwards either. I got a feeling that we're going to see this thing go all the way up to 6%. You disagree?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do you think there's enough guys over at the legislature that will repeal and reenact?
Yeah, well, it only takes, 4 at latest count?
Yeah. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but there's steering currents, babe. You just never know what's going to be in that force field as we move through this. And I think the pressure, number one, the pressure of the increased deficit for FY 2019, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, the numbers that we are going to have to pay, the entire government of Guam is going to have to pay in basically mortgage payments back to our lenders. I think that's going to be another factor as well. But I haven't had a chance to pour through the CRER, the report on revenues based on May figures. But my guess is that those numbers are probably looking pretty good for them. And you know how it is in the government of Guam. We start seeing some revenue, and fingers get real sticky, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I said that's why I'm saying I think there's a number of steering currents, and while there might be a number of people that are happy to stand on their platform and say, I'm for the people and I'm not going to break the backs of our taxpayers on this, they also recognize that there might be some opportunities and at least the what's the word I'm looking for? The appearance of going in that direction. But at the end of the day, I have to follow my sword, mea culpa.
I understand, Ray, that the budget is almost doubled. The executive budget almost doubled during the Calvo administration. So if we're going to be, say, 160 million short, maybe we could just go back 3 years to see how we did things with that amount of money and just do that.
Do you think it's that simple?
I do.
888-8255. Keep that number. Andy might want to talk about that and a few other things as we make our way through this Monday morning. Kevin Kerrigan now from the Guam Daily Post. Here's the big headlines.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, this just in from United Airlines, responding to the rising demand for business and leisure travel between Guam and Japan. United Airlines announcing this morning that it is resuming its twice-daily Boeing 777 service between Guam and Japan beginning October 28th of this year through March 30th of next year. The use of larger aircraft increases the number of seats offered between the two countries by 80%. Beginning October 28th, United will resume operating the 777-200 aircraft on 2 of its 3 flights daily from Guam and Tokyo's Narita Airport. The return of United's wide-body aircraft, according to the release, offers customers nearly 900 daily seats each way between Tokyo and Guam. In other news, Guam Memorial Hospital behind again in its contributions to the GovGuam Retirement Fund, $1.8 million behind in all. Retirement Fund Director Paulo Blas sending a follow-up letter to GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho, reminding him of the delinquent contributions owed from the last 5 pay periods. Blas said the Retirement Fund Board of Trustees, in accordance with their fiduciary responsibility, may file a writ of mandate if payment is not made immediately. The arrears prevents any hospital employee who wants to retire from doing so, and it also increases the potential for civil and criminal penalties to be assessed. GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho, meanwhile, has now turned over to Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. the deficiency report issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, along with Camacho's plan to correct those deficiencies. Rodriguez is co-chair of the legislature's Special Investigating Committee, which is currently looking into allegations of mismanagement and corruption at GMH. Rodriguez issued a legislative subpoena for the documents last Wednesday after Camacho said he was restricted from releasing it for 90 days. The following day, Governor Calvo called on the GMH administrator to provide the documents to the legislature, urging Camacho to work with the senators in hopes it'll help them understand the hospital's financial challenges and head off efforts to repeal the sales tax, which will in part provide funding for GMH. Camacho, in his own release on Saturday, said he sought permission from CMS to release the documents but got no response. At the end of the day, Camacho states in his release he'll be held accountable for publicly releasing the documents prematurely, not the politicians. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
It's 7:34, and that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with their incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
More than 40 local companies have partnered with Take Care to bring you some of the best deals across the island through the Take Care Affinity Rewards program. From Spa Bali, Guam Reef and Gabriel's Restaurant to Tango Theaters, Dolce Frutti, and many more. Take Care members can simply present their membership cards at our partner locations to receive a special offer or discount. For a complete listing of Take Care's affinity partners and deals, visit TakeCareAsia.com or check out our Take Care app for all the latest updates.
7:34 in the morning. Portions of the program also brought to you by American President Lines, shipping the future.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a Day. I'm Mark Beneventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumamo. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Any more traffic that you need to know about right now? Looks like a little bit of a line of traffic that is moving through Route 14. You're going, wait a second, which one is that? 14 is the one by on Ipao Road, isn't it? That's the popular colloquialism for that one. And that is traffic that is moving from Marine Corps Drive towards the Hilton. A few more cars than usual, so be on the lookout for that. Purple Heart Memorial Highway, that's Route 8 and southbound traffic beginning to build into the downtown Hagutnya area. Also, you might see a line of traffic traffic between the Bank of Guam and the Agana shopping centers. Things are starting to get a little bit heavy in the capital city. Still nothing to worry about in terms of getting into Anderson Air Force Base or Big Navy, although Big Navy looks like we're starting to see traffic begin to build, but not necessarily moving much slower. 736, that's right now traffic here on The Point. The island's fastest growing newspaper is giving you more.
More local news,
More local sports.
more local features,
And more ways to access the news you want to read.
home delivery,
Digital subscriptions online on postguam.com.
on social media, and now on a mobile app. It's your news, your way.
Download the Guam Daily Post app for Android and iOS today. It's 7:36, the Ray Gibson Show on The Point, 93.3. Our telephone number is 888-8255. That's 888-8255. Bunch of different ways that you can get a hold of me. Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. Not the Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com, because I'm not one of those the Ray Gibsons. Just Ray Gibson Show, gmail.com, and you can send me anything that you want to. You got funny videos that you want to share. You got funny memes you want to share. Or if you've got information that you want to leak, that would be a good place to do it. Now, I am very good at protecting my sources, so you don't need to go anonymous on me. You don't have to do one of these, Guam is good or making Guam again at gmail.com. You don't have to do any of that. Just send me it. And if you say, Ray, keep this in confidence, then I know how to keep a secret, and I will go with the information. It makes it easier for me to go with the information if I know who it's coming from. So, as I said, no need to be anonymous. Just send it under your regular email, and I will protect you to the extent that the law allows me to protect you. And if there's any questions on that, I got a lawyer in the studio, JD, in the building, former Senator Bob Klitsky, who is going to be subbing for me over the next several mornings. So do you have an idea of the flow of the show yet?
Fast. It's a fast-moving show, Ray.
Well, there's lots of topics to cover, and Brad on the Facebook Live, which is another way to get a hold of me, says, got to find another subject to talk about. Colonel Dave Cruz was terminated Friday, obviously putting public service in front of his salary. Well, if he was fired, it didn't sound like it was his decision, did it?
Didn't.
I'm sorry, Brad. But okay, if that's the way you feel. Obviously, putting public service in front of his salary. He's not a politician, but political games still are abundantly screwing with him. Lawsuit versus GovGuam should follow. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. Is there the possibility that he might be able to do something like that? And the answer is, as an unclassified employee, it's basically at will.
That's very true, but of course there's an old saying that you can sue anybody for anything at any time. Whether or not you'll recover is the hard part.
Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, what's to what benefit? What good is it going to do at the end of the day? How much more are you going to be able to net in terms of earned media? So it might be smart to just say, well, we tried the usual routes and they didn't see things our way, despite the fact that they've got a contract with the government. And maybe there's something in there that I don't know. Maybe there's some clauses in there.
Well, Ray, in a sense, John Fernandez did Dennis and David a favor.
How so?
Well, because now Dennis and David don't have to wrestle with that particular dilemma.
Understand.
The decision has been made for them.
Right. And they can still say that he was the injured party because he was terminated.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay there and work. I wanted to stay there and work with the kids, but unfortunately,
the victim. He was the victim.
Yeah. Well, it should be a fairly interesting, more interesting side of the conversation that's going to be coming, and how much of this will factor into a press conference that they're going to be having in a few days. Let me see if I can dig this out. There it is. Corruption, Wealth for Families, Modern Government Top RC18 Agenda. And as we have in the past, the Rodriguez will offer the time to this set of candidates, and whether I'm here or whether it's you doing the show, we'll offer the time for these candidates to come in or on the phone and talk about their platform. The Rodriguez Cruz team welcomes people from all walks of life to sit at the table with Dennis and Dave next week, Thursday, as they release their administration's plan of action into the future. It isn't just a platform, it's a plan, said Dennis. We want voters to know that we're not just ready with maybes and platitudes, but a real plan of action to hit the ground running on the first day of work. The three major pillars of the Rodriguez Cruz administration: ending public corruption, leading an economic revolution and modernizing the government. It's clear as day that Dennis is the only candidate for governor who can go toe-to-toe with Ray Tenorio and the current administration to fight corruption. Didn't we already decide there's no corruption in town? Where's anyway, Cruz, a retired Air Force colonel. I want to make sure I'm not missing out on any key sentences here. Okay, that quote is attributed to Dave Cruz. He says, if we want to make sure we don't have more of the same, then we need to vote for Dennis for governor in the primary election. Vote for Rodriguez Cruz, and I'll use my experience fighting corruption in the National Guard to help Dennis fight corruption throughout Guam. Cruz, a retired Air Force colonel and formerly the property and fiscal officer in the Guam National Guard, he had a direct relationship with the National Guard Bureau in Washington, D.C. when he served that very trusted and crucial position. Said so yourself.
Very true.
Guarding the assets of the Guard and ensuring that any irregularities were found in malfeasance brought to justice. Quote, you have a seat at our table. And then it goes on to talk about the other stuff. But, you know, for me, the fun conversation is when we start talking about corruption and the idea that there is corruption out there. And I think pointing the finger directly at Ray Tenorio certainly sweetens up the conversation. Makes it that much more fun to have, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it does.
All right, certainly. Senator Bob Klitsky in the studio with me. And as Brad says, you know, there's other topics out there to talk about. Now it looks like the shoe has dropped on David Cruz and the termination into effect on Friday. And yeah, there are. We've got bogus signatures that are floating around over at the Guam Election Commission and letters back and forth between the Federal Communications Commission and Governor Eddie Jerome Baza-Calvo. I've got a copy of the email or the letter that Eddie sent back to Commissioner O'Reilly at the Federal Communications Commission. First and foremost, accept my apologies for this untimely response. It's not a standard practice of this administration to ignore our federal partners, and we're rectifying issues locally to ensure that this does not happen again. So the first thing that we come out with is the apology. B.J. Cruz has also sent correspondence to Commissioner O'Reilly, referring to Governor Calvo's statements as false on their face. Senator Speaker B.J. Cruz joins me now on the program, and the disclosure reminder that he is going to be seeking more time in public office, as he has got to, I think today, tomorrow, take your paperwork over to the Election Commission. Good morning, Beach.
Good morning, Ray.
I'm sorry that you slept in. As I read in some of the news coverage here, you're literally losing sleep over how to put the budget together for FY 2019. So maybe that's why you're staying up late last night?
I couldn't sleep. I was texting my staff at 4 o'clock this morning on things I wanted to have done.
What was the nature of the text to your staff this morning?
Just things that we needed to prepare.
Tell me about, you guys had, I'm looking at the calendar for last week, and there was I think you had the CMS meeting? No, sorry, not CMS, your fiscal team.
Yeah, the SES meeting on Friday.
Okay, tell me about how that went. And I'm this is not a great phone connection. Could you maybe a little bit closer to the microphone part of your phone?
Okay, is that better?
Oh, much better, yes.
Okay. No, we had a meeting last Friday, and before the meeting, I had asked the governor to get a BBMR to send us their projection on what the income tax will be in the upcoming year. And I sent you the comparison page that we prepared, because I also had my OFB staff do their own projections on what we thought the shortfall was going to be. And we came out pretty close to each other, as you can see on that. Shall I tell?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it. It's on the screen. I've got it on the Facebook screen, and be happy to share it with anybody if they want to get their hands on it. The FY 2019 preliminary projections, and you were looking. The OFB is looking at preliminary projections on individual taxes at $66 million. I assume that's million. and then you've got the BBMR, and they're projecting 75.9, so a little bit of a variance there. Corporate at 83.72, and the BBMR numbers at 88.75, so a lot less of a variance. And then you've got your regular withholding, and you guys are pretty spot on with that. Business privilege taxes, it's an interesting number there. You'll need to describe to me what that figure represents. But all told, these are the revenue from tax sources that are going to be coming into the government of Guam, and they should be significantly less than what we were seeing in 17 and 18, right?
Right. Well, you try to compare it to what happened this fiscal year. All right. This fiscal year, we adopted for income from the federal government 512. And so you can see that there's that 120 plus if you take the BBMR projection of 388. And for mine, it's about 140.
So it's pretty big numbers here, and we can feel the struggle just trying to cover the $60 million in the shortfall for FY 2018. What Herculean efforts are you going to need to do to put together a budget that keeps the government of Guam moving forward, or in the very least just moving? And being able to do that and still provide the services of the government, knowing that you're going to be short by 140. Some people say that the number could be up around $160 million.
Yes, that was one of the numbers that I mentioned at the meeting on Friday. And so, what the Herculean task that I'm going to have to undertake is how to keep government running. And I purposely had all of the hearings last week, over the last several months, of every single agency. All of the testimonies that were provided by those agencies is up on the OFBGuam.org website. And all of the hearings are on our YouTube channel. And so I invite you to, especially, you've mentioned there's lots of fat, and I'm just saying, watch the YouTube and read the testimonies and tell me where you think there is fat that I can cut. I'm seeing some, so I'm going to be doing, but where would you recommend that I find 120?
Well, it's kind of it'll be a drop in the bucket, but I think $65,000 for a special assistant at the governor's office. Certainly, I would categorize that as a flabby position.
I agree that there are some drops in the bucket, but I'm just saying, where do you think I can find 160?
Well, if we can't find it on the spend side, then we're going to have to bring it in on the revenue side. So that means that we're going to have to look at uncollected taxes. And I know that you and I would already be on the same page on this, because we recognize that the Department of Revenue and Taxation, without the appropriate number of people out doing tax collections, without them doing the surveillance at places like these bingo deals and the cockfighting that we've got here on Guam, there's generally and I couldn't tell you what the numbers would end up being if we actually had people out there making the collections on the unregulated revenue, the unregulated gaming revenue.
Yeah, and the number that Doris mentioned in her report, I don't think comes close to the 160. But I'm just saying that.
Well, I don't know we don't know that's true. We don't know how much money is floating around out there in all of the different kinds of gaming that we have, regulated and unregulated, where the government of Guam should be able to get their bite at the apple.
For the near future, in trying to figure out what this budget's going to look like. If I had a whole year to jump all over rev and tax. The few months that I had, we were able to convince them to do the amnesty, which they're collecting well, 23 as of last week, and maybe since they extended until tomorrow, close business tomorrow, I'm hoping that they get 30. But I'm just wondering, if you collected 30 in principal taxes that are outstanding, how much in fees and penalties did you waive?
Right.
And how much of that would, what would that break down to in that?
Yeah, that was the same question that I was asking the other day when we were talking about all of this, and that's going to be kind of tricky to figure out, in the manual systems that they have. But yeah, so we've got all this money coming in based on the principal owings of these taxpayers, but we're walking away from what could be significant dollars in the fees and the interest, which is why I hope they don't extend the amnesty after tomorrow at close of business. Now we've got a conviction, we've got a number of people that have come forward, and now that we've got a conviction, somebody's going to be in jail for 33 months on tax evasion charges. We've got the opportunity now to be able to hold a little bit more of a hammer out in front of people that do owe more of these tax dollars and say, you want to be next? You want to be next? Got plenty of room in the prison.
Hopefully. And so, but the thing is that we're having to make up 160, and so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to be discussing what's going to have to be done with that.
What's the stuff that we avoided back in February, BJ? We got to go back to the conversation about reorganization and, in the meantime, furlough Fridays, 32-hour work weeks.
Okay, and those are some suggestions, I suppose, that we're going to have to consider.
I thought we had considered them already. I mean, is it?
I thought we did too.
Is that part of the $30 million worth of cuts that Les and the guys have been talking about?
Yes, I mean they got their $30 million. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, what they've done is they've shorted education and the courts, and that was the complaint that some of them had, was that they would have no problem with a 10% cut, but some of them are up at 15, 16, 17% by the end of the fiscal year.
I'm told that it's off balance based on some of the cuts that we're seeing in other departments and agencies. But it is what it is. 7:53 in the morning, and then there's the idea that we might be able to cover the shortfall by raiding these funds, and that gives rise to a whole other story and communications between the FCC and the governor's office. The governor addressing those concerns with the Federal Communications Commission, and then you bringing up your own concerns to Michael Riley from the outside, referring to the governor's statements as false on their face.
Well, yes, because he cited the FY18 budget as giving him the authority, and I just pointed out, I mean, even if you accept arguendo his contention that we gave him the authority, we gave him the authority for FY18. It wasn't to give him authority retroactively to 13, 14, and 15.
Yeah.
16 and 17. So, that on its face was wrong. And then I attached a copy of the letter that I sent to Christine Belletta on the 17th of October of last year, and told her that I've looked over the audit for the government of Guam and noticed that special the pages on special funds and all of the funds that they had been raiding. And I told her, I said, I know that at the end of the fiscal year that you have this practice of just, giving yourselves Bank of Mom loans and writing them off and telling the agencies to sign the authorization that it's okay, you can just, forgive me. That practice has to stop. And I attached a 3-page letter which showed all of the things that I had instructed Christine to stop. So, I mean, I just showed that on its face his argument was wrong. And just if you look at it legally, it's very clear in the statute that those funds were created and were supposed to be separate and weren't subject to the transfer of the governor.
Is there a federal component which authorizes the government of Guam to collect these E911 fees that we might be in violation of as well?
Yes, no, that authority is federal, and Senator Talina Nelson has read it a couple of times at the hearings to both the Department of Administration and Chief St. Nicholas, and it was her reading of that that got Kathy Kiki to say, well, which law do you want me to break? The federal law on paying payroll, or the federal law as it relates to E911, or what?
So I'm trying to put the case together here that, well, even though there might be local statute that maybe Adelup is of the opinion of that they can, what's the word I'm looking for? Adjust the meaning of the words to suit their purpose, huh? So even though there might be this local statute, they think they've got it in the FY 2018 budget piece, there is still federal law that makes very clear that we are going to be collecting these E911 fees and using them to support an E911 operation.
Correct.
So you might be fine with the local law, however you interpret it, but you are not fine with the federal law.
Correct.
Okay. All right. This isn't the way it's always been. I've got somebody that's doing a little bit of research on this, and there was a once upon a time where the fire department was not in charge of the E911 monies. The monies were supposed to be going into an account, and I don't remember when it changed. Maybe you do, but they changed it now so that instead of the Public Utilities Commission being in charge of the spend, now whoever is the chief of the fire department gets to be in charge of that.
Well, it's obvious he's not in charge because Department of Administration just takes it and then tells him, or as he put it, to instruct him to sign an authorization saying, yes, you took $800,000 last year, and I acknowledge.
Well, and so the point that I want to get to here on the point, Senator, is that what we've got to do here is to make it so that the people that should be in charge of it are the ones that we generally entrust with the movements of monies and investments for our utilities. So maybe we ought to take E911 and put it back in the hands of the Public Utilities Commission, at least the spend. Let them oversee it.
Yeah. Well,
so we're not paying for postage and buying salaries and whatever with 911 funds that are specific and supposed to be going to technology, not operations.
Correct.
Well, sounds to me like a pretty easy piece of legislation to put together.
We'll look at that.
June 2nd's coming up, just saying, 7:58 in the morning. BJ, I'm going to let you run. I appreciate it. And a reminder from the Guam Election Commission, if you haven't yet, you got to get your paperwork. I think today is the day that you can pick it up, and then it's got to be in, the final paperwork has got to be in tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
But you got the easy one. You don't have to go get signatures and make bumper stickers today.
Okay.
I see you, bud. Talk to you later. A couple of minutes left before the top of the hour, actually 60 seconds. Bob, you think you can shorten up your response?
Very quickly, I wanted to say there's not a federal law per se directly that there is a sanction, that there's a penalty direct against the government of Guam, but they do lose eligibility for federal funds. However, there's also a rule of truth in billing, which says that the things that are on your bills from wireless carriers and local carriers must go for what they are stated, and that is a violation that needs to be looked at. I will. You know what? I've got a lawyer in the room with me, and we'll explore that in the next hour of the program. Bob, you're welcome to call back in. Okay, you can. I'll talk to him. Leave me on the line to talk to him a minute. Yeah, okay, fine. I think I might be able to sort out the technology to do that. The radio station is KUSG Hagutnya. That's us, and we're known around here as The Point. Coming up, I've got Fox News Live. We got Kevin Kerrigan with all the big stories from the Guam Daily Post, and we'll pretend to talk sports with Blake Watson next.
Easier said than done. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The federal government says it's making the effort to reunite families separated after crossing the border, but one congressional leader says that's not an easy task.
House Homeland Security Committee Chair Michael McCall on Fox News Sunday says the process means bringing scores of immigrant kids back to the border.
And be with their parents who violated the law, reunite them at the family center, and then go forward with the removal proceedings.
McCall adds that because of the reunifications, there may be changes to what the administration has called its zero-tolerance policy.
That policy may be revisited, and it may not go forward.
And President Trump has continued to insist publicly that strong borders are still a priority of his administration.
Fox's Gernal Scott, a Texas-based organization that assists immigrants, says it's receiving about 30 parents who were separated from their children. House Republican leaders saying the Justice Department has not satisfied all requests for documents related to the Russia investigation. They want the rest of the material by tomorrow evening.
Obviously, there is a lot of question about the cooperation of the FBI and the Department of Justice because of the concern that there are people still there who do not want some of the information that we need to be provided.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. Mixed messages in Turkey following the country's presidential election. Incumbent Recep Tayyip Erdogan declaring victory, but the leading opposition party believes the results are incomplete and a second round of voting is possible. Good news at the gas pumps for a change. Prices dropping for the first time in nearly 4 months. They're down 6 cents to a national average of $2.95 for a gallon of regular. That's according to the Lundberg survey, which monitors prices nationwide. Charleston, South Carolina, the low, and San Francisco Bay with the highest gas prices in the continental U.S. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yup, we kicked up our Pika chicken a notch with Sriracha. It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC is finger-licking good.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
President Trump hitting the campaign trail for South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster.
President Trump will visit Columbia, South Carolina Monday, the day before McMaster's showdown with Greenville businessman John Warren, a political newcomer who's gained popularity since joining the Republican primary race just 4 months ago. The president is making his second campaign trip for the governor, and his visit comes just a few days after Vice President Mike Pence traveled to South Carolina to stump for McMaster. The visits are McMaster's reward for being the first statewide elected official in the country to back the president's 2016 presidential run. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
Authorities in San Diego say 2 police officers shot while responding to a domestic disturbance at an apartment last night are expected to survive. The officers were met by gunfire and quickly fired back. Authorities found the suspect dead, but it's unclear if he was killed in the shootout or took his own life. Demonstrators gathering outside a Minneapolis police station to protest after officers shot and killed a black man over the weekend.
Police in Minneapolis saying officers shot and killed a man who was firing a handgun while walking down a city street. In the statement, police saying the incident happened around 5:30 p.m. local time Saturday on the north side of Minneapolis. A pair of 911 calls reporting that a man was firing a handgun into the air and ground. Officers pursued a suspect on foot, that chase ending with shots fired. The man pronounced dead at the scene. The officers' body cameras were reportedly on and activated. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
Another round of surgery for congressional candidate Carrie Arrington following a major accident. The South Carolina Republican suffered a broken back, broken ribs, and other injuries when a vehicle traveling in the wrong direction slammed into her vehicle. The driver of the other vehicle died at the scene. Arrington defeated Congressman Mark Sanford in a GOP primary upset. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Hey, it's your stomach talking. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Subway has all new signature wraps packed with meat and flavor. And I know flavor. Okay, maybe not as much as the mouth. That's kind of his job. But we talked, and he's a big fan of the Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese signature wrap. And it's super filling, so you don't have to hear from me for a few hours. Unless they play this radio spot again. Subway, make it what you want.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. My name is Alicia Blas from Agate, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Putehi Igomamu. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Splash into summer savings and take advantage of our amazing deals on the best Samsung smartphones. Get the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus for only $149, the S9 for only $99, or the Galaxy Note 8 for only $99 as well. But these amazing deals won't last long. Come into a GTA store today to save big. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for details. Offer ends June 30th. GTA, your island, your network.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any two toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Federal Communications Commission urging the government of Guam to stop its practice of transferring money out of the 911 emergency fund for other purposes. In a letter to Governor Calvo, FCC Commissioner Michael O'Reilly asked Adelup to stop diverting the funds, writing that it's beyond disappointing to learn that your territory has made a habit of diverting these funds for other purposes. At a recent public hearing, Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas acknowledged that transferring the funds for local operations was contrary to federal mandates. Every month, phone customers are assessed $1 on their phone bills, which is supposed to go into the E911 fund to help maintain and upgrade that emergency system. The governor, however, responded to Riley that Guam created the E911 fund, but he maintains the 2018 Budget Act provides him with the authority to transfer or spend the funds without prior appropriation. However, Speaker Benjamin Cruz countering that the same budget law includes a section requiring the fire department to spend the money on E911 only. In addition, Cruz says the section of the law that Governor Calvo cites is only applicable for fiscal year 2018 and does not apply retroactively. Funding has been transferred out of that emergency E911 fund in years past. An audit report released yesterday by the Office of Public Accountability found repeat as well as new shortcomings in how the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority reviews who benefits from federally funded housing programs. The audit identifies weaknesses in the process of verifying whether recipients qualify, and among those cited are eligibility documentation, which was not on file, erroneous calculations of tenant income, and lack of certification for those who did not file tax returns, which are required to qualify for the program. The audit report also cited an unresolved issue with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which wants Gura to repay about $2 million in HUD funds that it was supposed to spend on a new Gura building, but didn't spend the money in that way. We'll have more news after this.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Valley Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Valley Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Valley Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tumon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Valley Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. A little more than $4 million in tax refund checks were printed on Friday, and they'll be mailed out today. DOA Administrator Edward Byrne telling the Special Economic Services meeting Friday that the tax amnesty had brought in enough money to allow the doubling of refunds disbursements from $2 million in previous weeks to $4 million now. The refund checks being issued today are going out to 1,308 families. They cover Status A returns filed up to February 8th. To date this year, a little more than $59 million in tax refunds has been paid out, including $4 million to be mailed out today. That's more than half the estimated $115 million in tax refunds owed to island taxpayers for 2017. Responding to the rising demand for business and leisure travel between Guam and Japan, United Airlines announcing this morning that it is resuming its twice-daily Boeing 777-200 service between Guam and Japan's Narita Airport, beginning October 28th through March 30th of next year. The use of the larger aircraft increases the number of seats offered between the two countries by 80%. United will fly the wide-body Boeing 777-200 on 2 of its 3 daily flights between Guam and Narita. That'll add up to nearly 900 daily seats each way between Tokyo and Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Yes.
A fairly dry and quiet pattern will continue through tomorrow evening when wetter weather will move in from the east, resulting in brief periods of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms Tuesday night through Wednesday. Now, here's your forecast. Partly cloudy with isolated showers. East winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing after sunset. Your highs near 88, lows around 77. It's brought to you by Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, they place roots.
Now, before we run into a break here, I just wanted to put the radar back on the screen on the Facebook Live so the viewers there can get an idea of what the weather patterns are right now, what we might be able to expect in the next hour or two.
And as we can see on the radar there, things kind of dying out, and then there's a little flare-up of some showers just southeast of us here, but I think that's going to miss us to the south. Looks like another flare-up about 200 or 300 miles off to the southeast there. This should all miss, and anything it does roll through, it'll just be very, very isolated today and through tonight. Tomorrow, we'll see how things roll out. We got this blobbage coming in from the southeast there. And
let me recue this one here as well, folks. It's not, I don't want to call it a circulation, because I don't even know if it's that.
No, it's not.
Weather.
It's just a trough, or even there's a lower level of what they call convergence, where the winds are just coming together, and when they do, they just kind of lift up, and that lifts the moisture up into the atmosphere and brings about some clouds and showers. The bit of a spin that you do see to our north there, that's actually that's a large upper level low. There's a train of upper level lows, and upper level lows will actually most often kind of prevent any sort of tropical development as they keep the upper atmosphere not suitable for formation.
So we figure maybe later today, sometime tomorrow, we'll start seeing this have an impact on local weather.
Unless this flare-up is actually moving in a little quicker than they think. And then that's the thing that even the guys down at the Weather Service will tell you. We know what's going to happen. It's a matter of timing.
8:14. Speaking of time. All right, that's news and plenty of weather together here on The Point.
The employees of Morrico Equipment on Guam have something very special all to themselves every morning they go to work, and that is pride. They have pride in the Morrico Equipment logo, and they have pride in wearing the Morrico Equipment uniform. They have pride in driving each Morrico Equipment service truck and in operating the Morrico Equipment lowboy heavy haul tractor. Morrico Equipment employees have pride in their company because they own the company. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. If you would like to join the Morrico Equipment ESOP team, please apply via morricoequipment.com.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. You know what they got at King's for lunch today? Salisbury steak, or I know some people call it Salisbury steak. Whatever it is that you want to call it, that's what they've got for lunch today. Everybody knows the menu item, and there's a whole bunch of other of your favorites that you can get all week long. We got beef tenactac on Friday, and Thursday is the meatloaf, and there's pork sinigang in the mix. Beef steak tomorrow. That's a big deal. It's lunch every day. It's different waiting for you at King's.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech, 649-2301, or email info@americanwatertech.com.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
I got 8:17 studio time here as we make our way into what turns into a fairly busy Monday morning. Presiding Judge Lemoren is going to be in the studio a little bit later on to thank everybody that has endured and participated in jury service. And we've actually got a guy in the studio that did his time on a jury earlier in 2 cases. Well, there's 2 of them, but you actually had a case.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Did you get to sit in the jury box and just glower at the defendant?
Snooze?
Yeah, no. I don't know about snoozing. Anyway, so PJ is going to be in here a little bit later on, and I've got Senator Bob Klitsky, who is going to be subbing for me over the next couple of days, just watching the ebb and flow of the program, and so that's fun. But we're also going to press him on some interesting legal points a little bit later on, and a couple of them that are legal points that involve Speaker B.J. Cruz. Number one is what we were talking about earlier, kind of a truth in billing controversy that could be coming up because you've got all of these businesses out here that do cell phones, and at the bottom of the cell phone invoice is a note that says E911 fee that they're taking from you now, but it is not actually going to support any E911 operations because they take that money and they use it for other operations of the government of Guam. That's the other interesting one. Now, B.J. Cruz is running in a special election. It's going to take place on top of the primary election. But for B.J. and anybody else that's going to be running in this special election, this is their general. So the question is, if B.J. wins, or should I say when B.J. wins, does that mean that he begins the job of public auditor immediately? And if that's what it means, can he still be the Speaker of the legislature and, for all intents and purposes, acting head of the Democrat or acting representative head in the legislature? Will he still be able to do that and be the public auditor at the same time? And I don't know. I don't know how much research Senator Klitsky has been able to do in the last little bit. We'll see what he's got to say after we do Sports with Blake. So how about it, Blake? How was the weekend for sports, buddy?
Weekend for sports was actually very, very eventful, Ray. Surprisingly, because it's been, I don't know, maybe about a month or so since we had so much going on.
Well, we had
locally.
the tennis. Yeah, the tennis futures were played. I want to say that there was another massive golf tournament that took place over the weekend. A lot of running activity as well.
Yes, a lot of running and GML as it played on out at Paseo last night. The Orioles, they continue their climb to the top, although they're going to have to beat your Rays to get there because they are 6-1 after last night. They take care of the Smokies, who were 1-3 coming in. 8-3 was the final. Winning pitcher goes to Mike Munoz on the hill for the O's. Joey Tyron gets the L for the Smokies. The O's, Jathan Munoz Barnes. That's a pretty familiar name there in the baseball realm. He went 3 for 5 at the plate, 2 RBIs. Mike Batista, Rocky Alcantara, Mike Lannon also all had 2 hits each as they chip in. The next game will be tomorrow as the Astros will take on the Rooks. Now the Rooks at 1-3 and the Astros at 3-2. They're in third place, so no doubt the Astros from Gigo will look to continue their winning ways out at GML play at Paseo on Tuesday evening. And I don't know if you saw this or not. I like to bring them up because they ship the future.
What's APL up to?
The inaugural APL Women's Softball
Oh, that's
League.
right, the softball thing, yeah.
Got underway over the weekend. 3 games, all 6 teams played at the Petey softball field, which is a very underutilized field. You never hear about games going on at Petey, so maybe this is the start of something good. As the scores went Southern, they beat the Warriors 10-0. The Islanders take on the Dreamers. They win 12-0. And the Nationals, they beat the Pink Panthers 21-2. So that is the, I guess that's the opening results, and it seems that the league will culminate in an all-star game that's going to feature Maddie Nichols, who is a member of the UCLA Lady Bruins and Team USA softball teams. It's all going to happen at Guerrero Field in Paseo on August 3rd. In the meantime, in between time, you can catch them at Petey Field on the weekends.
Gotcha. Now, I asked you when you came in what kind of weekend you had, and apparently you had some issues with varmints this weekend.
With varmint, now, so I famously, I'll retell this story, I guess, very quickly. I famously called, so it was like 2012, and there was a snake found in the closet of my bedroom. My other half, I know, my other half who found it, she immediately ran out of the room to me in the living room and said, "Oh, there's a snake, it's in the closet." I was like, "Oh, where did it go?" She goes, "I don't know, I ran." And I'm deathly afraid of snakes because where I come from, they can kill you. They can kill you. So I'm like, "Oh, so it's just in your pile of clothes in the closet?" She was like, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I'm not going in there. I'm not looking for it."
We're never going in that room.
So I called the cops. I did what anybody would do. I utilized my tax-paying dollars, and I called the police. Not to tell on you, GPD, because I do appreciate you for that, but 3 of them came out.
Did they ticket you?
Yeah, no, 3 cars came out. 1 with a rookie to assess the situation and take care of it. The other 2 cars showed up just to film the thing.
Were shots fired?
No, but I will tell you this though, I almost got into a little bit of trouble because the dispatcher who answered was like, "Okay, well, when they show up, tell them that it's just a non-compliant person in the house." So when my other half opens the door, I'm standing in the house, so they look at me like it's me that they're going to have to remove. I'm like, no. I go, "They're playing a joke on you, rookie. There's a snake in the other room. It's not me. There's no domestic here." So she was like, "Really? It's a snake?" I was like, "Yeah, it was a lady." She was like, "It's a snake?" I go, "Yeah."
Did they get it?
They did.
Okay, what did they use?
They used their baton. they took it out with their baton, and then they beat it. They beat it to death in the head. Now, so I said all that to say,
I'm showing up on this is something on Facebook. You can get this, and there is a company. I've owned one of these for years. There's two ways to do this. There's a snake hook that you can buy, and most snakes will understand and will go for a ride. I don't know about Guam tree snakes and brown tree snakes, but most snakes, if you use a hook, they'll be compliant and allow you to pick them up and manipulate them that way. I have the other one with the claw.
That looks like a good one.
That's the one that you want.
Yes.
Now the cool thing about this is it comes in different sizes. So mine is about 25 inches long. Right, a little bit
long enough.
Bit over. It's long enough so I can reach out and grab them from wherever they happen to be, in a tree or on a fence or something like that. Now I bought 2 of these. And one I bought was for my mother's house.
Yep.
So between at the time my mother and Shelley and RD, they could handle dispatching these snakes without having to call me at 3 o'clock in the morning to come over to the house and catch the snake for them.
I stopped going over there for that reason. I want to let you know.
But the one that I got them was 6 feet long.
Nice.
Right? It's right up there with the legislative 10-foot pole. So I got them a 6-footer. So frankly, they could get the snake from outside of whatever room the snake happened to be in, and long enough to be able to reach in, grab it, and then dispatch it. But at 6 feet, one of the problems is it's a 6-footer, right? So the next thing you got to do is take the snake outside and then make snake sushi out of it, right? With the machete, and cut it into many, many small parts and make little tiny versions of the snakes. FYI, they will regenerate their heads and then go back out into the boondocks. That's not true. They sprout wings. Flying brown
Well, there was
tree snakes.
There was a story in Texas about how this guy found a rattlesnake. This was like last week. I did it on my show.
So end of the story.
Hours later.
Go to eBay and you can buy one of these things. And for me, the idea is quickly catch the snake and then dispatch it. Don't play around with it. Don't tease it. Don't do any of that stuff. Be humane about it. And I think this is a great humane way to get it without freaking yourself out. Even people, I think, with big snake problems, knowing that they're 6 feet away and they've got a claw on it, will feel a little bit more comfortable. These guys know about Guam.
The snakes?
The company that makes these snake hooks, they know about us. I bought it from, and the guy said, yeah, I heard you had a big problem with it, so tell you what, here's 20% off, and we'll cover the shipping.
Really?
Nice guys, yeah.
Yeah, they're in 3 convenient sizes: earthworm, garter snake, and holy.
Wow.
So that was old me. So new me got it. You know, now I got kids and stuff. You know, like I can't just call the cops for a little snake. So I heard my dog bark right at the back door, which is very odd because you can't see like the road or anybody approaching. So I was like, oh, she's not bark. She never barks, A. And B, she wasn't barking at anything she could see. So it must be, you know, frog or maybe something. And I looked out there, snake. So I was like, okay. So I grab a long piece of cardboard roll, like a 10-foot long cardboard roll, and I pushed the snake out to the yard. And you know, I probably should have left it alone because it was pretty compliant. As soon as it saw me, it tried to get away, and then like as soon as I pushed it, it went that direction, no problem. And that wasn't good enough for me because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have dreams and I'm gonna think it's in my bed all night because it was like 10 o'clock at night Saturday.
Yeah, you gotta kill it.
Yeah, so I found a pickaxe in my closet. Luckily, I had that, and I'm pretty handy with the pickaxe too. So I just went out there, 3 swipes, done, and then I left him out there for the chickens.
Good man. So if it was a rattlesnake,
I handled it.
The guy, what's his name, Kruger, Randy Kruger says if it's a rattlesnake head, you should bury it if you chop it off.
Yes, and that was the story I was telling.
Because they can still bite you. I mean, there's venom in there.
There's a guy in Corpus Christi or near Corpus Christi last week. He found a rattlesnake. His wife found a rattlesnake, went and got him. He was like, okay, yeah, no problem. He chopped off the head and, you know, just kind of threw the body off. Well, the head reached around, like the head was laying there, and it snapped him in the... Snapped him. He got put in critical condition, almost lost his life because a severed snakehead bit him like 2 minutes after he had already chopped the head off.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
Senator Klitsky has been lurking in the Pacific now for, I don't know, something on the order of 50-plus years. You've no doubt got a couple of good tall tales about brown tree snakes.
Well, if I didn't, I'd make one up, Ray.
There you go. Well, that's the nature of the business, isn't it? So you don't have one?
About snakes?
Yeah.
Not really. We've had
Can we morph from that conversation into a political snake conversation? Have you had dealings with political snakes in your life?
Are there any other kind?
I don't think so. 8:28 in the morning. All right, interesting story here. 5 people had drugs, the scourge of our time, ladies and gentlemen. 5 people have been arrested after a police raid of a home in Central Florida where they uncovered drugs in plain sight in the home. Investigators uncovered golf cart parts, including windshield, seat cushions, wheels, and tires. Signs that the home may have been used as a golf cart chop shop. So this is the interesting distinction on this. It's a drug bust in Central Florida at a retirement home.
Wait, what were they looking for? Like prescripts?
They were looking for drugs. They were
Ambien?
Well, whatever. Because you figured the old people,
Viagra.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Fake spam. There's
I'll tell you that, man. I don't feel nothing, man.
Is there really a high demand for like blood pressure medicine
Well,
on
no,
the black
but
market?
older folks, I guess the theory is that older folks would have an easier time getting their hands on opioids and other, advanced painkillers for old people, right?
Terminal illness and stuff, right? Like those really strong painkillers.
Well, plus it makes for a great cover. I mean, who's going to think to look
in
at
a retirement home.
a retirement home for a drug operation?
Precisely.
In a golf cart chop shop.
Well, golf carts are cool.
Well, they have a bad problem down there. There was like, what's they called, the Oxycontin Express, that documentary from down in Florida, where like you can literally just go from like one prescription place to the like right next door because it's not, they don't take it away and like they don't license their prescriptions right, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, there's a whole documentary about how you can go like people from like Virginia and like Kentucky, of course Kentucky, but Tennessee, they all drive down there, get there, or they could a few years ago get their pills, and nobody would question the fact that, hey, haven't you got this prescription filled like 8 times this week? It's like, no, it's Florida. No, we're good.
And so, yeah, what's wrong with that? So Ishmael Valiz asking the question on Facebook Live, what kind of person keeps a pickaxe in their closet?
That's a good question. I do.
Well, my answer is what kind of person doesn't? I mean, I thought everybody did. But.
I do. I had to move some earth a few years ago. I had to chip out some rocks and plant a flower bed, so that's why I had it. Pickaxes always come because, look, here's the thing. So, because the pickaxe, you get the blade on one side, you got the point on the other. So I was able to drag it with the point, slice it up with the blade, and then once it was dead, I draped it over the pick. And just carried it out.
I don't even know what the problem is. I have one in my back pocket.
What's that, a pickaxe? So what do you do with the carcass?
Well, like I said, I chopped it up like you said. I made snake sushi out of it, and then I made sure to spread it around because it was like at nighttime, and I know that overnight and in the early morning chickens will come and they'll eat it. So I just I left it out there close to the road for the chickens. I live on a little private road, so like we're pretty much left alone down there, so you can.
All right, so here's the deal. It's going to be starting tomorrow and until Friday. I'll be back on the radio with everybody next week, Monday after the trade show. But it's going to be you and Bob.
Good.
Okay.
Looking forward to
you
it.
guys are going to be. You guys are going to be all right. And but you might actually have to have like actual scores and sports and stuff. Probably
no John Wayne stories. A little bit snakes.
Well,
snake
what?
tails.
There's always the possibility. I don't know. I know that he can keep the VU meters moving. So I don't generally worry about that. But I don't. I worry about it might be a little bit of a generation gap between you and him. I know there's one between he and I.
Between me and everybody.
Yeah. So, I think I'll be okay. I study up pretty well. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you know what I spent my day yesterday doing really quick before we get out of here because it is regionally pertinent. 2-1. My Mexico national team beat the South Koreans yesterday, and
I was looking at that.
What a game it was! It was 0-0 going up almost until halftime, and then Mexico, they got a handball, Ray. That's what gave them their first goal of the game. One of the South Korean defenders, he dropped down, made himself big, and he held up his arm. The guy smartly kicked it into his forearm. Got a handball, so we got the free kick right in front of the goal, and they put it in the back of the net, and they went on to 2-1. So the South Koreans done, and Mexico, for the first time since 2002, win their first 2 matches back-to-back. And South Korea, meanwhile, have lost their last 4 matches.
So they're out.
So that's the last two World Cups. They're 0-4 in the last 2 World Cups.
Was there an earthquake?
I didn't see that, but I tweeted that out. Get ready, District Federal, because another earthquake's coming because Mexico wins again.
All right, what have we got here? I don't know whether this is an upset, but it certainly must have been interesting, at least for the English that played 6-1 over Panama in Group G match. Germany over Sweden 2-1. It was a pair split between Japan and Senegal, 2 points apiece. Colombia beat Poland 3-0. Egypt and we got these games are on tap. Saudi Arabia and
That's an
Egypt.
elimination game too. Whoever loses going home out of Saudi Arabia.
And then
there's
Uruguay and Russia.
Yes, and I believe Uruguay could go home. I think Russia's okay. Germany got a red card, which is going to be very detrimental for one of their players going forward. And elsewhere, 6-1. That means Panama goes home. England is in the final 16. So congrats to them.
It's 8:33 already, and so we're going to retire the sports guy headlines with Kevin Kerrigan, brought to you by Furniture Kathy Style. Coming up next.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Studio time 8:34. PJ LaMorena is going to be in the studio talking about some jury stuff, and we'll follow that on with some interesting, I think, going to be interesting law talk about what we may or may not be able to do with B.J. Cruz as an elected public auditor while he's still the speaker over at the legislature. And I got Bob Klitsky turning that over in his head. But first, we got headlines here brought to you by Furniture Kathy Style. The 8:30 News is brought to you by those fellas and those nice lady over there. Right now, Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post with the 8:30 News.
Half a day and Good Morning Guam in the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. The spokeswoman for the Rodriguez-Cruz gubernatorial campaign, Ashley Rodriguez, confirming this morning that David Cruz was terminated from his position at JFK High School on Friday. The termination follows an ultimatum from Guam DOE to quit the campaign or quit his job as a Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps instructor at JFK. Cruz said he'd do neither. In a statement, he said he's not withdrawing from the race, and he finds it highly suspect that all this is happening just days before the filing deadline. At issue was Cruz's pay as a JFK instructor. Before he officially signed on as Senator Dennis Rodriguez's running mate, he converted from being a classified employee to a contractor with a professional service agreement. However, former Senator Bob Klitsky has petitioned Guam DOE to stop paying Cruz, saying it's illegal to keep Cruz paid as a teacher while he's running for political office, regardless of the nature of his employment. GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho has now turned over to Senator Dennis Rodriguez the deficiency report issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, along with Camacho's plan to correct those deficiencies. Rodriguez is co-chair of the legislature's Special Investigating Committee, which is looking into allegations of mismanagement and corruption at GMH. Camacho, in a release on Saturday, said he sought permission from CMS to release the documents but got no response. At the end of the day, Camacho states in his release that he will be held to account for publicly releasing the documents prematurely, not the politicians. Camacho also said that contrary to numerous and hurtful assertions, he remains fully confident in the ability of GMH staff to address the deficiencies cited by CMS without losing their certification and the millions of dollars in federal funds that goes with it. Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson assigning her office's white-collar crime division to investigate allegations of suspected forgery of campaign documents. Attorney General on Friday acknowledging receipt of allegations from the Guam Election Commission that at least one signature on a nomination petition for the Bota campaign was forged. Nominating petition was submitted by Eduardo Ordonez. Ordonez telling the Post last week that he gave the petition, which he certified as his, to someone else. He said that other person gathered the signatures on the list, which he says he then turned into the GEC under his own signature. He said he forgot who that other person was. Barrett Anderson said the allegations will be fully investigated. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Thanks very much, Kevin. The preceding newscast brought to you by Furniture Kathy Style, Guam's newest furniture store, open now, offering a fabulous selection of furniture and super hot deals every day. The stylish and comfortable Domino reclining sofa and love seat. You get the pair, $999. Style you can afford at Furniture Kathy Style, located in Hagutnya. iConnect time in the studio is 8:38. iConnect wants you to connect longer for less with their incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Employee feedback can be extremely valuable, but only if we really know how to get it, and most managers don't. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, I'll have the formula to do just that.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Not a busy day in traffic most of the morning. Didn't see a whole lot of slowdowns. Traffic building in some locations that, frankly, you suspect that they would be building up anyway. 20 away from 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're coming into the intersection of 8, 10, and 16 from Route 16, you might experience a little bit of slowdown when you get to the Happy Mart intersection. Then you make it all the way through that intersection, and you might find a few more cars in front of you trying to get into that one good entrance to Teedson anymore. And if you were Marine Corps Drive southbound, shouldn't be too much of a problem. In fact, you probably see more traffic getting into and out of the Fatima Mobile area onto Marine Corps Drive than you are anywhere else. Moving up to the intersection of Route 1 and Route 3 northbound traffic, a little bit more cars there, and a few more cars lined up at the intersection of Route 3 and 1 trying to make that southbound turn. 20 away from 9 o'clock in the morning, and that is right now traffic here on The Point.
Say hello to high-speed data on the widest 4G LTE network in the Marianas. We've just upped your prepaid data, so make your big plans bigger with 1 gigabyte of data per day. Bigger prepaid data for your big plans that just keep getting better. Enjoy high-speed data and unlimited local talk and text on the widest 4G LTE network in the Marianas. Text LTE to 3282, select a plan, and enjoy 1 gigabyte of data per day. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
We're both looking at the same thing going, yeah, buddy, this is good news. United Airlines responding to rising demand for business and leisure travel between Tokyo, Narita, and Guam. So they're resuming their 777 services in October. This is great. I'm delighted for a couple of reasons. I like the 777 as aircrafts go. There's nothing wrong with that airplane. Like a Dreamliner. I'm a Dreamliner guy. I like those, but the 777s are fine, and they crew up well. And so I'm hoping that what we see here on this one is that the majority of the crew and the flight service folks are friends of mine from United Guam. I'd like to see our people on that airplane. I think it will be, because most of the time, even the 737 service, when I'm flying through Narita City, almost every single time I get on the airplane, there's half a dozen Chamorro faces looking right back, and sometimes Palawan ones too, looking right back at me, and that's my favorite thing, because they know that even though I'm sitting in the Gura section of the airplane, they'll keep bringing me Asahis and Kirans.
Oh,
yeah. So I've got that going for me. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can click on a couple of buttons here and make sure that all the right people are there, and we don't have the incorrect names in their faces. This is going to be kind of tricky, if you don't mind. Put that there so that everybody can see. I've got presiding Judge Tony Al Lamarena. Sorry, there's one of the Lamarena boys.
One of us.
one of every once the third is the number, right? Anyway, so PJ, it's very good to see you, and I understand that you've come here today specifically to pay tribute, homage, and honor to the people who have selflessly given of their times, family time and work time, to help the wheels of justice.
Correct. As you know, the juror is an essential part of the criminal justice system. You know, the Fifth Amendment guarantees the right to a speedy trial by an impartial jury, and in order for the person to exercise that right, we have to appoint jurors from the members of our community. And so this week, the judiciary and the legislature and the governor have expressed this week as Jury Appreciation Week.
Yes.
To appreciate the thousands of people that have come through the jury system this year and last year for coming in to serve as jurors and grand jurors in our criminal justice system. So we are here to thank them for their service.
Myself among them, and my sister from Gita, Mana Silva, was also, and she sat on a case.
Yes.
which I thought was interesting. So I never did, but I went through the voir dire process. In fact, many years ago, I went through the voir dire with you, and you excused me. And I'm not going to say exactly where he excused me because I don't want everybody to all of a sudden use that and try to get out of jury duty. I will say that it was a legitimate part of the process, and he had asked a question. I responded with a truthful answer on my part, and at that case, he says, "Well, good, get out. We didn't need you anyway." But
Well, we didn't say it that way.
Not
Thank
quite,
you
but-
very much,
but-
Mr. Gibson.
Yeah,
your excuse.
But there had been changes to that, to the voir dire process in recent times. I want to say some changes overall with the process. It seems more automated and computerized now. Back in those days, it was I got a letter. Right, and
Yes.
they said show up, and there were 500 people in the room, and the judge went through all of the different voir dire questions. It wasn't necessarily looking for somebody to sit on a particular case as much as it was we were just trying to get bodies to put in potential jury positions. But now it seems like, first of all, I get a letter, and I've got 2 different batch numbers associated with it, so I'm not in a room with 500 people. I'm in a room with about 100 people, and then the voir dire took place as we were addressing a specific case, a specific judge, and so I thought that in and of itself was very interesting. Plus, I mean, they've got the electronic sign-in and all of those things, so that they know when you're there and they know when you're not there. So I thought that was a pretty cool addition to the process.
Yeah, we've tried to streamline the process so that the jury can be selected more quickly, and the jurors can leave because we know that many of the jurors are employed. And time is precious also for them. They're not supposed to sit there for the whole day being asked questions. Many of them are willing to answer the questions, but they want to make it a speedy process so they can go back to work. Or if they're selected, they can tell their employer, I'm going to be a juror. I may not be available for the next week or so.
Yeah, depending on how long the case takes.
Yes. Some are very quick. Some will be 1 day, 2 days, a misdemeanor case. Some may last weeks. I tried a case where it was 2 months, 3 months long.
Same jury.
Same jury.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they all became friends, and they had potluck and everything, you know.
I know that feeling.
They were bringing food in and, having a great time. Reunions. You're right. Some of them have reunions.
A couple of parts of that process, we were doing exactly that. I mean, we were talking about, hey, it looks like we might be in this for a little bit. We're certainly going to be doing this for the rest of the day. So, what do you want to have for lunch?
Yes.
Because we did have to break away and come back for lunch. So what's the process now for selection? There's people that say, well, I'm not going to get on the voter registry because that's where the court gets the names for jury duty, and there's people that just don't want to have anything to do with with jury duty.
The voter registration list is one of the lists we use.
He says.
Yes, but we also use the public utilities list. So if you have water or power, we use that list to get jurors as well.
Right. So
everybody I know gets hooked up to power or water. So somebody who doesn't register to vote.
We've got a line on somebody, so you might as well make sure that you get registered to vote because it's going to happen to you at any rate and at some point.
We use driver's license list.
So you got it.
So if you're a registered driver's license, we have that on the list as well.
I noticed in the process there was a lot of attention paid to people, certainly with medical conditions.
Yes.
Of one kind or another, because it's not a physically demanding thing to be to sit on a jury. There might be some people that've got medical appointments that they need to go to on a regular basis, or they're caregivers for somebody. And I thought it was very nice that as we went through this process, the judges in particular were very careful to ensure that those folks with those needs would be met.
Yes, what we do is usually, like, if you are the primary caregiver of a person who's a stay-home patient, then we usually excuse you because, if there's nobody else is there to cover you, we want to make sure that patient is properly cared for. Also, if you are the primary driver of a person who needs hemodialysis 3 times a week, usually that's a whole day affair. And so if you have a difficult time taking alternative drivers to drive for you to take that person to hemodialysis, that's going to be an inconvenience.
You might be excused for
and
that.
Also the patient may die because he or she
no
might
access
not
to care.
Yeah,
Well, and then students as well. I noticed
yeah, we
that there
accept
was a
students
nod as much
because
as possible.
we don't want to miss classes. ULG students. However, teachers are not exempt because we feel that teachers can always get substitute teachers.
So what was, I don't want to say it was annoying me, but I'm going to use that word because it kind of was. They'd set me up. It was, I want to say November or so when I was first notified that I was going to be a potential member of the jury, and they said, well, you're going to go until I think it was February, and I got extended once, and then I got extended another time, and I want to say it was after that second extension, that was it. But the daily process of making that phone call and the panic when you missed the phone call. Thankfully, Mana and I were in the same group, so one of us would call and announce to the other whether or not our groups were, our subsections were being called in for the next day. So that was kind of tricky. I figured with as many different cycles as you guys were going through that there would not necessarily need to be a need to extend participation.
Well, we normally don't extend. However, if there is a series of major trials coming up that require a lot of jurors, like, for instance, the DeSoto case, for instance, I think we can discuss that. We called up hundreds, if not thousands, of jurors to answer questionnaires. Because that was a very high-profile case, and so we wanted to make sure we selected a fair and impartial jury. So I think when we do have a lot of high-profile cases, we need a larger pool of jurors, and sometimes the present pool of jurors is not large enough to accommodate these type of cases. So what we do is we ask that jurors in other pools have their time extended so they can be available to be called as potential jurors in those cases.
I'm very interested to see what's going to be happening. It is not so much with the jurors. It's something that Sean and I have had conversations about, is with the lack of funds, certainly less money getting into the hands of the judiciary these days, and with what I think are going to be what could be a number of cases when the pedophile priest case finally comes up, and all of the different allegations that have been made on this. And I don't know whether they're being treated like a class or if everybody is going to be going in at the same time, but I think that's going to put an incredible amount of pressure on the judicial system here. So that might be lots of judge time, lots of jury time if these cases are going to a jury trial.
Well, you have to admit this is a very Catholic community, so it's going to be very hard to try to select a jury in these type of cases. But in multiple defendant juror cases, we do also have a hard time selecting jurors because, especially if they're local individuals, it's going to be very, very difficult to say, that's
we're in the hundreds here.
That's my cousin, or I know this person. That's
we
my
got
neighbor.
Tens of people that are involved in this thing, so there's going to be it's going to be a lot of different cases going on, and that's going to keep the civil side real busy. And it's not like there's a lot of robes floating around. Even though I volunteered to be a judge, there's all of these others. The civil side's going to be busy, and then what's going to happen on the criminal side? Or vice versa, sorry.
Well, it'll still go on.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to ask Senator Klitsky to come back. tax the judge pro tem to help us out. But we're anticipating those type of things. We right now the civil cases, especially the ones you just discussed, are still a long ways from jury trials. But we're talking about immediate cases that are now, the high-profile cases you've been reading about.
Yeah, punch through those as quick as you can.
Yes. In fact, we're having one big serious jury trial selection that's happening next month.
So I'm in the media. Why do I keep getting called for jury service?
Because we love you. But you're the most opinionated guy in the world, and that's why we like you.
Well, I got to wake up in the morning and have an opinion on something. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes, more often though, I'm not, and that's why I got guys like Bob to help steer me through some of these conversations that we have. But the presumption had been for years that as a member of the media, somebody that I get the magistrate reports and read the magistrate reports on a regular basis, that I might not make a good potential jury candidate because I would be looking at these things and going, yeah, that guy's a dirtbag. Let me sit on that case. I personally want to put that guy away.
Well, that's why we have the Vodire system, because we want to make sure that.
Was that how it's pronounced? I've been saying it Vodire.
So Vodire, it could be pronounced two different ways. Okay. But that's why we're here to ask you questions, because we want to select a fair and impartial jury, and we want to make sure that the defendant and the people get a fair chance of getting people that are open-minded and are willing to hear the case as a person, hearing all the evidence.
Well, I would have been open-minded, but he's still a dirtbag.
Yeah, of course.
So you just, you've gotten caught finally for something. You're guilty of something else. I'm sure of it, but he's been caught on this one. You might not be guilty on this particular case, but you're probably guilty on 20 other things.
Yeah, well,
I learned that from Fred Black.
We instruct jurors not to use prior convictions or prior bad habits prior convictions of individuals. That they stick their verdict on the facts of this individual.
I know, but they get a nice shirt and a tie, and they get a nice haircut from a barber, and then they're not dirtbags anymore. That's, for me, has always been the amusing thing.
That's why it's hard being a judge.
So are you guys going to be you're throwing any parties or anything? Or we have a resolution?
Already we had a presentation. The Lieutenant Governor was there, and Senator Torres, representing the legislature, was there to present their proclamation and legislative resolution to the judiciary, and the Judicial Council and the Chief Justice passed a Judicial Council resolution thanking all our jurors, and we have some little things to do to help the jurors out.
I was thinking like a thing at Kento's. Right?
Well, we can fit, several thousand people. It'd be nice.
Field house. Just kind of bring everybody in. Here's a sandwich, hot dog. Yeah, I'm volunteering for that one. No, I want to be a judge. I want to be able to. And I found out recently, this occupied 20, 30 minutes of the program a few weeks ago, is I wanted to find out if I could take the bar exam. And they said no.
You want to take the bar exam?
Apparently, you cannot take the bar, the Guam bar.
Oh, I thought they had another bar.
Again, Kento's, the Kento's bar exam. But apparently, you can't even sit down for the test unless you actually have a law degree from somewhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, from a U.S. accredited law school.
See, I forgot to go to law school.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, can't you just see? I wanted to be able to take the test to see if I would pass it. I mean, is that like an eventuality? Is that something that you can do? Are there practice quizzes that you can find online?
Well,
do you watch a lot of Law and Order?
Yes, Law and Order, Chicago Law.
State of the Holiday. It's not as easy as
I'm sure you got most of your education through law, right?
Yeah, is that what it's called? 8:55 in the morning. Okay, so we got I got a couple of JDs in the studio. I mean, it's understated, right? So I'm going to throw a couple of questions out. And one of them is an interesting question brought on by today's smoking hot headlines. Speaker B.J. Cruz, who now, as we know, is and former CJ B.J. Cruz, is going to keep the head of public service on, and is putting his hat in the ring for the public auditor position, and so on. The 25th of August, there's going to be a primary election and a special election for him. This is the general. This is the special election for him. And if he wins against Doreen, or if Yucca decides to run, then Doreen and Yucca, does that mean that he vacates his position as Speaker of the Legislature to begin fulfilling the obligations of the public auditor? What do you think, Bob Klitsky?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He would have to leave.
Yeah, of course we weren't really sure about that until today, and now because of David Cruz, we know that even though both positions are unclassified, he can't hold them both at the same time.
So, when it comes when they gavel him out, when they're done with the counting of the numbers, he's going to have to make a decision.
Well, if you really want to put a fine point on it, he could serve the rest of his term as a senator, but he couldn't be the public auditor. So then I suppose we would have a vacancy in the office of the public auditor, and we'd have to have another election to elect another public auditor. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So what will happen, I think, is that you will see BJ take off his hat that says 34 on it, put it down, and pick up his hat that says PA on it, be sworn in. And then the fun will really start, because
we'll have even numbers over at the legislature, one less strong Democrat.
Well, and also we can probably have some more gavel wrestling. If you remember when gavel wrestling at the legislature was a sport between Judy Wonpat and
would Therese Terlahi not be elevated to the position of Speaker, or at least in an acting capacity? Could she not?
Yes, temporarily, but not permanently.
Right. Okay. What do you think, PJ?
No comment.
Get out! Come on!
That might.
No, I know why. I know why. You
I
know
don't
why?
want it to either be potential
Because
issue.
it might actually show up in your court.
Yes. So I have no comment on that particular issue at this point.
Can we quote you on that, Your Honor?
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to wiggle an answer out of the guy. It just there's got to be a way. If you knew a guy, so asking for a friend. What do you think? Now, Sean, you've worked policy side before. Between the governor's office and legislature, what do you suppose? And as sitting with a Republican governor too, wouldn't this be just an incredible occasion for opportunity?
So you're asking if he steps down, what the vacancy
There's a power
causes?
struggle. There would be a power vacuum at the legislature. You've got a strong Democrat speaker in there, and there is room, obviously, to take Therese Terlai, put her in an acting capacity. But how long can that go?
Can I ask if he can do it after he passes a budget?
August the 20th. It's 59. It's less than 60 days away from now.
Once the budget's passed, I think everyone will be probably, hopefully.
We're
settled
generally
down.
okay.
Right.
We'll see what other minds are thinking about this morning. Hey, thanks for bringing the PJ in. I appreciate
thank you for
that.
having us.
No, it's
Thanks
always,
for having
it's
you.
always a pleasure.
Thank you
Always
very
a
much,
fun
Ray,
phone call.
Senator.
Thanks for serving in jury, Ray.
Yeah, that was crazy. You know what? It was a great opportunity for me to hang out with my sister a little bit more. Family stuff notwithstanding, it was nice for us to be in a place with other people and then go have a nice lunch downtown and everything. Good opportunities to catch up with what's your name? Mana. It's
public service.
9 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. Got you. We're The Point. Coming up, I got Fox News Live. We'll play around with some other topics in the next hour of the program. You don't want to move. Fastest moving show in radio, kids. Be right back.
Plans and protests at the border. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. Demonstrations continuing in Texas along the border as the White House announces a plan to reunite separated families.
We're a couple hundred yards away from that so-called tent city that's off into the distance. That's housing a few hundred immigrant boys and now a few girls ages 12 to 17. And a little while ago, there were several hundred protesters who showed up just across the road from that housing center. They're trying to bring attention to lawmakers regarding the more than 2,000 young immigrants who've been separated from their families due to the policy change by the Trump administration.
Fox's Jeff Paul in Tornillo, Texas. The effort to reunite families includes building better databases linking the parent and children's information and whereabouts. A top Republican lawmaker pressing the Justice Department for more documents related to the Russia investigation.
Today, in a letter to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein obtained by Fox News, House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes complains that the Justice Department continues to provide only bits and pieces of information to Congress and requests an answer to this question. Did the FBI use informants against members or associates of the Trump campaign? And if so, how many informants were used and how much money was spent on their activities? And the deadline for that response is 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Washington. Gas prices finally pulling a U-turn.
Gasoline prices dropped 6 cents per gallon in the past 2 weeks, and the new average for regular is $2.95. They won't continue dropping, however, very unlikely, because the OPEC meeting this past Friday announced an increase in output, but not a large one that had been expected by the market.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey says Charleston, South Carolina has the lowest cost gasoline, whereas the San Francisco Bay Area has the high. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Morrico Equipment, located on Ipoh Road, Tamuning, is a heavy equipment dealership and was established on Guam in 1990. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. Morrico represents 23 heavy equipment manufacturers and supports those products on Guam with sales, rental, parts, and service. The Morrico Equipment rental fleet now comprises of 200 machines. Morrico also offers an on-site diesel delivery service and Trashco Guam, a roll-off trash container service. If you're interested in joining the Morrico ESOP ownership team, find out more on their website at morricoequipment.com.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yup, we kicked up our Pika Chicken a notch with Sriracha. Sriracha! It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC is finger-licking good.
Buckle up for more information.
President Trump returns to campaign mode tomorrow, stumping for South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster.
I am proud of Vice President Pence. We're delighted he was here, delighted he's supporting me. Of course, the president has been here before in this race and is coming back to campaign with me again, and I appreciate it very much.
McMaster became governor after Nikki Haley resigned to become United Nations ambassador. He faces businessman John Warren in a Republican primary runoff because neither candidate pulled the necessary 50% last time. Where will Democrats set up shop in their bid to defeat President Trump in 2020?
Milwaukee or Brew City, home of American beers and Harley-Davidsons, where the Fonz has a bronze statue. It's now on the short list of 2020 convention sites for the Democratic Party. Alex Lasry leads Milwaukee's bid.
Everyone knows what this would do for Milwaukee and what it would do for Wisconsin.
A state in a blue wall that Republicans broke through in 2016 for the first time in 3 decades. Officials from the DNC will take tours of the finalist cities and their offerings in August, when Miami and Houston are hot and muggy, and when Milwaukee temperatures will be just right. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Dinosaurs dominate at the box office.
These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're gonna be here after.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom roars to the top spot, grossing an estimated $150 million. The Incredibles 2 falling to second place with $80.9 million, followed by Ocean's 8 in a distant third with $11.7 million. Conservative author, columnist, and Fox News political analyst Charles Krauthammer laid to rest today. The 68-year-old died of cancer last week. The Fox News channel will air a tribute to Krauthammer at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. You know the place. You've been eating there since all of your life. They've been open since most of you were just little kids, just scrubs of people. And now you think about where you want to take your family. You want good, wholesome nutrition here that doesn't cost a whole lot of money. You always think about King's. They got a couple of great daily specials as well. They've got favorites for all your favorites for lunchtimes, different favorites every single day of the week. It's Monday, so today the big deal is Salisbury steak. Yes, it's beef and gravy. So basically a steak in its component parts. It's just not together, right? You know what I mean? It's a hamburger with gravy. So try that for lunch today at King's.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
It's the Ray Gibson Show, portions of which brought to you by APL. That's American President Line, shipping the future.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy-to-spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
7 after 9 o'clock in the morning, and Nestor Lecanto at KUM has a story up on their website. Leon Guerrero and Gutierrez share campaign visions, and they've done that in the last few days. We've had Leon Guerrero up on the radio for a little bit talking about some of their platform planks, and of course Carl Gutierrez is on the radio with me all the time, and he got a chance the other day to talk about his planks for the platform that he and Cousin Fred are going to be running under, and that means that we still need to hear from Alicia and Frank, and that means that we need to hear from Dennis and Dave, and we also need to hear a little bit more on plank issues from Ray and Tony. And each one of them will be able to get some airtime here on the program to be able to discuss that and other issues that they might be involved in. It's earned media, and that's the way the world turns. So I anticipate before too much longer we'll hear from Dennis Rodriguez. In fact, I know we're going to hear from him in this hour, as they've sent out a release talking about an opportunity, quote, to sit at the table with them as they discuss their plank issues, and chief among them is the conversation about corruption in the government. And Dave Cruz, in his quote, got to say that Dennis was the right guy to go toe-to-toe with Ray Tenorio. And if that's not a shot across the bow, I don't know what is.
Are we back to gavel wrestling again?
Wow, how do we want to play this? Because you were talking about gavel wrestling, and it's not necessarily the same topic here, though. The gavel wrestling will be interesting to see how it works at the legislature to deal with that vacuum that we suppose is going to come when B.J. Cruz wins the public auditor seat.
Yes, and of course Dennis will still be there after B.J. leaves, so he is a potential candidate for the speakership.
Why not, right? As are all of the other members of the existing minority. They could all be called up. There is already a deputy speaker at the legislature, as Therese Terlahi, and there's no reason why she could not become the speaker. But that's for the body to determine yet.
Exactly.
And as we recall, the original gavel grabbing was Ray Tenorio and Speaker Wanpat, who was not at the time speaker.
Well, we couldn't tell. It was almost a quantum mechanics.
Yeah. It was. I recall very vividly how that all played out, and the unfortunate image of Ray Tenorio standing over a smaller woman on the dais at the old legislature did not look good. Bad optics, as a matter of fact. And Ray's in the middle of some degree of I don't want to say that they've got to spend a lot of time worrying about the optics here, but the optics at the Guam Election Commission with regard to some signatures on both the petitions. And right now we're just talking about a few. We know of one for sure forgery. Based on an individual that they were able to detect, because the guy actually works at the Guam Election Commission, and everybody knew from sight that wasn't his signature. So we do have a real active forgery at place here, and certainly some problems with Ordonez, because he signed off on these documents purporting to have actually seen all of the signatures go on the paper. He did not, and so he might be in a little bit of hot water.
Yes, and of course he is part of the Tenorio campaign.
So there you go. And then the rest of it here is the guys over, I want to say over at the PDN decided that what they were going to do was start to make contact with a few people on the BOTA petitions. And in a few cases, these guys are saying, that ain't me. I didn't sign off on that. And I want to say that Kevin Kerrigan is working the same thing. He sent me some of his field notes, if you will. And Mike, if you don't mind, hook up the Avra line so that we can hear. So I'm going to play this. As far as I know, this is a raw interview that took place between Kevin Kerrigan and someone whose name shows up on a BOTA petition, but he did not actually sign it. So let's listen in carefully.
Mr. DeGoma.
Yeah.
This is Kevin Kerrigan. I'm a reporter over at the Guam Daily Post.
Yeah.
Your name is on this petition that was submitted for the BOTA campaign?
I don't know about what you're saying.
Okay. This petition that was filed with the Guam Election Commission by Eduardo Ordonez. Do you know Mr. Ordonez?
No, I don't know that Ordonez.
Because he put your name down on this petition. For Helio de Goma, P.O. Box 26929, zip code 96921 in Dededo.
Yeah, that's my address.
Your name is cited as one of the persons who signed a petition for the Tenorio Ada campaign. Are you aware of this?
I am not aware of that.
Were you ever approached by Eduardo Ordonez to sign this?
Somebody called me already. But this is what I answer. I'm not sure that I signed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Who contacted you? You just said something.
I can't remember the name.
Oh, I see. But
It was just yesterday.
and are you a supporter of the Tenorio Ada campaign?
Supporter? I'm not a supporter.
So you're not.
I'm a voter.
Who will you vote for?
I'm not sure yet.
And that's the conclusion of that conversation. I've got a piece of audio a little bit longer with Kevin and Ordonez. What do you think? We got time to play that? Like I said, it goes for a little bit, and if we get a punchline in the middle, I'll go ahead and bail out of that. If I get a phone call in the middle, and we're expecting communication this morning with Senator Dennis Rodriguez, and an interesting quote that somebody sent me from Dennis from not that long ago. Would you like to hear it? It says, when I looked at the people running for governor, and I respect all of them, he said, I know in my heart that I am best suited to succeed Governor Calvo, carry out the good, and usher in a new era focused on everyone's every person's happiness and this community's love, Rodriguez said. We are the best candidates to succeed the outgoing governor, a choice better even than the current lieutenant governor. So he wanted to continue the good that Governor Calvo has been doing. But does that make sense given the nature of some of the conversation that has been going on?
It's a mixed message there, isn't there, Ray?
And that, I think, is the point that this, at least one emailer is making here this morning. 9:14, this is the Ray Gibson Show on The Point, 888-8255. That number again, 888-8255. And I think I do have just a little bit of time to see what it sounded like in the conversation between Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post and Mr. Ordonez, who is the gentleman that signed off on these petitions that, as it turns out, apparently have a few bogus names in them.
Mr. Ordonez?
Yes, sir.
My name is Kevin Kerrigan. I'm a reporter over at the Guam Daily Post.
Yes, sir. I'm on the meeting, sir. So.
Well, I'm just calling about the petition that you were the circulator of.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can tell me about, you're aware now, I understand, of the forged signature, Mr. Sangua's forged signature on the petition?
Sir, can you call back later? I'm on the meeting. Okay.
Well, I'm just wondering if you could just give me some information about that and.
Yeah, I'm on driving now because I'm kind of late on the meeting. So
if you just tell me about Mr. Sanga's signature on there, were you aware that it was forged? It was not his signature.
Well, I just talked to the Guam election already this afternoon, sir.
And what did you tell them?
Well, I just told them that I was, I don't know who bring that signature. I don't even recognize those signatures. That's our people.
You don't recognize the signatures.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You signed as the circulator, but you gave the petition to somebody else to get the signatures?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what it happened.
Who did you give the petition to?
As of now, I cannot answer you that, sir. So.
Do you remember who you gave the petition to?
I don't remember on those.
But the circulator certification requires that you, as the signator, be present when the names are gathered and the signatures are entered on the petition. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Why did you give it to somebody else then?
Well, that's our people. So, sir, I'm on the meeting right now. Yeah.
Is that what everybody does? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know those other, but this is I can talk to you later, okay? I'm late.
Can you tell me just one final thing? Are you confident that the rest of the signatures on here are legitimate?
Well, as far as I know, it's not, because some of the people that they gathered that circulation, we had a instruction to be, to be true and right.
So does that mean that you're confident that the rest of these signatures are legitimate?
Well, as of now, I'm still we're still working on that, sir. Okay.
You're still working on it? Oh, you mean
Yes,
have you been asked to verify all of the signatures now?
Yes, sir. Just kind of verification on those. Verify those signatures.
Who's asked you to do that? The Election Commission?
Actually, no. I'm just by myself to verify everything.
My armpits are getting sweaty on his behalf. You're getting that feeling. Really, I don't want to talk to you or anybody about this ever. So documents come in, documents go out, and he gave it to people. Here, go and circulate these and go get signatures on these, and we'll turn these all in and just need one signature at the end of it. What I don't understand is if he could not verify it, why didn't he ask the guy that circulated the petitions to sign off on them?
Maybe he didn't want to get involved.
Because so this is what you do, kids. The next time it's election season, somebody comes around and says, "Hey, I've got these petitions. Can you walk these things around and get some signatures on them?" If you're the guy that's asking for the signatures to get collected, you make sure that guy turns in the paper with his signature on it.
You know, Ray, that the old saying that effluent tends to flow downhill?
Yep.
I can see someone walking around with a ream of petitions.
Yeah.
Parceling them out and parceling until finally you get down to the nameless, faceless guy who's got 3 or 4 of them that he's got to get filled out, and somehow he does it and doesn't want to sign himself because it's not his job.
But still,
somebody turns it in, and away we go.
I wouldn't have, well, I mean, I wouldn't have signed off on it, personally, especially if you know that there's an obligation. You are attesting to the fact that you were there when the signatures and the addresses, et cetera, got put on the paper. And if you know you weren't there, you shouldn't have signed off on the thing.
Absolutely.
So I can imagine, if that's the way he was with just Kevin, what's it going to be like when he's in front of a lawyer and a judge?
But with the circulating and the signatures, I think, once again, we may be running into everybody knows that we've always done it that way, so don't be so technical.
Which goes back to your conversation with bringing everything into some kind of a loop with Dave. There is the myth and legend of the law here on Guam, and there are things that we look at and choose to interpret in our own way and in our own fashion, maybe because somebody else got away with it a dozen years ago, that this is the way we do this now.
And we've heard it so many times from so many people, it must be true.
So 20 after, we go back to where the conversation also started, or also got a little bit of a start, and that is the conversation about B.J. Cruz, who is now going to be we have to have the election. I'm not sure that Yuka's running. As I've said before, she and I have a very close personal relationship, running buddies and members of that community. And when I spoke to her, she had not yet made a decision. She's picked up a packet, and we'll know, I suppose, within the next 36 hours whether or not she intends to run for that position. Doreen Crisostomo, I believe, has picked up a packet. I don't know if she's turned it in. And frankly, given the idea that somebody with the bona fides like B.J. Cruz is running for that job, yeah, I wouldn't be in a hurry to get to the Election Commission either.
I think the only way he could be beaten would be for someone to dig up Elvis's remains and bring out a live clone of Elvis, and even then it'd probably be pretty close.
Yeah, so I got a feeling that this is going to be BJ's gig for the asking at the public auditor's office, and he's the conversation with him has been, I tried to get things done over at the legislature. I've had some hits, I've had some misses, but I noticed that every time the public auditor comes out with some kind of an audit or a report or financial highlights, it generally tends to get a little bit more attention, because maybe it's the nonpartisan nature of the office, maybe it's just the way that these things are written, and maybe it's just the way that she can time after time point out inefficiencies and inaccuracies in the government of Guam without politically getting her hair mussed.
Remember in the times when the public auditor wasn't elected and didn't have to be a CPA? So since 2000, since Doris has been public auditor, she has been able to establish a high degree of credibility in that office, and that's why people tend to pay attention to the things that she writes.
Well, I like the idea of the independent nature of the office as well. She doesn't have too many people that she's got to almond, if you will, when she walks into the party. She is her own entity there, and I think that's cool. The latest of the financial highlights coming from the Office of Public Accountability, and I say it that way because she's no longer there. I don't want to say here's another one of Doris's audits, but they did a review of practices over at Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority that frankly have got my eyes watering here. For 6 consecutive years, reports on compliance and internal controls continue. Compliance continues to be a significant issue for GURA as it has consistently received modified opinions since FY 2012 due to material weaknesses and significant deficiency on 3 to 4 major federal programs. The material weaknesses cited were, and how do you get away with this for so long? We're talking about taxpayer dollars that are supporting the lifestyle of people who choose or are incapable of working, being able to stay in government taxpayer-funded housing. This is a significant privilege. And if you are going to be living there, you've got to show that you are eligible for this. Here's what we're seeing. Eligibility documentations were not on file or were not signed by the property site manager. No inspection report or inspection report lacked required signatures, and failed inspection reports lacked documentation to evidence correction of deficiencies. Erroneous calculation of tenant income. How often do you suppose that the tenant income was erroneous to favor the tenant? And
once in a great while.
And their ability to get these taxpayer subsidized housing opportunities. Significant deficiencies relative to unreconciled differences of $49,000 between accounting records and closeout cost certificates. Well, whoever's in charge of that should pay $49,000 because I'm sure it was not in the taxpayer's favor.
Certainly.
No criminal background checks. Well, we're supposed to have background checks on this. This is also scary. No verification against National Sexual Registry. So they take all comers into these housing programs without so much as a nod to find out if the person that we're handing the keys to that is going to be living a couple of doors down to you and your daughters maybe, he might be on the registry. We would never know because they don't check. Untimely recertification, declaration of Section 214 status not properly completed, incorrect flat rate amounts, tenants did not meet community service requirements, no certification for non-filing of tax returns, and incorrect voucher size. And the list goes on and on and on. And so I hope that maybe somebody could take a look at this at the legislature. Whose committee would this fall under? Do you know? Which committee in general?
Can't remember, Ray.
Boy, it sucks that you're getting a cold when I'm going on this trip.
I'll be okay.
You need to, you know what? I got some Airborne. I'm thinking maybe take some Airborne. 9:25 in the morning. This conversation is going to go in a couple of different directions. Senator Dennis Rodriguez joins us now on the program. Good morning, Senator.
Up to date. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Senator Titsky.
Good morning.
If you could get a little bit closer to the microphone section of your phone, that would be great. It's a little bit muffly, and I want people to be able to hear everything that you've got to say. As a practice on this program, if there is some big news affecting a campaign, i.e., we're going to be dropping our platform, I certainly want to be among the first to be able to have that conversation on the air. So that's why we've given the opportunity to former Senator, Bank President Lou Leon Guerrero, former governor and candidate Carl T.C. Gutierrez last week, and Dennis Rodriguez and Dave Cruz have this morning sent out the public the notification that they are going to be having their platform presentation. Is that this week, Senator?
Yes, that's correct, Ray. We're going to be launching our platform, which is our action plan on Thursday, this coming Thursday.
As I understand it, you've got 3 key pieces to your platform. I mean, it's and you could have launched it at least 20 or 25 of them. But what do you consider the key priority platform planks for you and Dave?
Well, the 3 pillars of our action plan, it would be to end public corruption, number 1, to revolutionize our economy, and to modernize our government. And so we're very excited. We put together a comprehensive plan of action by talking to subject matter experts, talking to our people who never cared about our government, never thought that their voices mattered. And so we're going to, be very excited that we're going to be able to launch that this Thursday.
Okay, Thursday when?
God bless you.
Yeah, that's Senator Klitzky. It is going to be an airborne morning, as a matter of fact. So when on Thursday?
Thursday, I believe, at 10 in the morning.
Now, there's I want to say it's come sit at our table. So is that a figurative table? I often try to frame my conversations here as I'm just a guy from the village with an interesting job, access to all the media, and if I have to make a decision on where I'm going to sit opinion-wise, I'd like to sit at the same side of the table with the majority of our listeners. However that shakes up. Is that the same kind of figurative table that you and Dave are referring to?
Yes, absolutely. And just as we've worked to put this plan together, we made it a point to seek out those in our community, which is a majority of those in our community who have felt that they've never had a voice, who, as I said earlier, never cared to get involved because they just thought that the system is broken and no matter what they say won't matter. Casting their one vote doesn't matter. And we've made it a point to reach out to them and let them know that from this point on, their voice and their actions are going to matter. And even if you think you're just one person, that matters a lot to us.
The one plank here, we'll take them each individually, ending public corruption. And the quote from your running mate says, "It's clear as day that Dennis is the only candidate for governor who can go toe-to-toe with Ray Tenorio and the current administration to fight corruption." And if you read that the way I think most people are going to read it that are sitting at the table, that's pretty much Dave saying that the current administration is corrupt and you're the only one that can fix it. How will you do that?
Well, the fact of the matter is, Ray, is that I'm the only gubernatorial candidate who hasn't been around for decades. First of all, I want to say this: my opponents, whether on my party or on the other side, I respect them. I think we all should thank them for their years of service. But when you come down to the wire, to be able to challenge our Republican candidate, you got to offer people of Guam something different. And we believe that that difference is with our team. We bring a new, fresh perspective. We haven't had the amount of time and experience like the others have had to be able to address a lot of the problems that we see happening. Take for example the Guam Memorial Hospital. These problems that we're seeing now are 4 decades old. A lot of my opponents have had the opportunity. They've sat in the chair I sit today as the chairman of Committee on Health, and so I'm very proud of my record and proud of the fact that we're going to be able to provide a new direction for our people.
Well, you brought up GMH, and the points have been made by among your detractors, and certainly from among the folks that are competing in your field, that you have also had time at the legislature over all of these years. You've always been the chairman on the Committee on Health since you have been at the legislature, and yet we still have these problems. So I think the point that they're going to make is that you've had oversight on this, and yet there's still issues at Guam Memorial Hospital. How will you change that as governor? If you couldn't do it as chairman at the legislature, how are you going to be able to resolve those issues as governor?
Sure. First of all, let me address those points that they've tried to bring up now. My record will speak for itself, and history will speak for itself. No other chairman in recent history brought to the floor what the hospital needed, and which was unpopular. And so now we know why they never brought it, which was to increase the rates over at GMH. You remember we had this debate a few years ago when GMH said, "Hey, we need to raise our rates." It's a shame that the hospital hasn't moved on their 5% rate increases that they're allowed by law, and so we had to make drastic changes to their rate structure. I got hit for it politically because they said, "Why are we going to raise these rates?" I took it to the floor and we did that. I did something also that was unpopular, which was to give an authorization to go out and borrow twice, I believe. And that's something not to be proud of, but it was a tool that was necessary that the hospital needed. And so, when they talk about, the failure, as they say, of what I've done, we provided them, the legislature provided them the tools And now, if they don't use that tools the way they should, then I really think the finger's got to be pointing somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, and as far as rates were increased, I recall my sole position on that was the concern that the rates are going to go up, and it will only affect the people that are currently paying. The number of indigent patients and issues that we've got with major insurance companies and major insurance platforms across the country, the federal programs, and especially they're still going to pay. The indigents are going to continue not to pay, and so we've had the debate before. I just wanted to go over it. But that doesn't necessarily address corruption, which I was trying to get a little bit more of a specific answer. You are suggesting that because you have not been a part of the political machinery here for as long as others, and certainly the people that are competing against you for the vote in the Democratic Party, because you have not all of those years in the game, maybe are in a better position to fight corruption. And I'm trying to get clarification on that. Are there any other tools at hand that you have that you'd use to fight what you think is apparent corruption in the current administration?
Absolutely. And when we launch our action plan on Thursday, we'll give you specifics. But I'll tell you one now is that Dave and I are going to institute the Office of Inspector General, our local IG, that would be the body that would look after, investigate, and address any complaint or any issue with abuse of power, abuse of people's position. And so that's a tool that in the military, former Senator Klitsky would know that. That's a tool that is used and is very useful. And Colonel Cruz would be one individual that will be able to look after that and be able to speak about that when we launch it on Thursday.
The press release also refers to him having in the past fought corruption in the National Guard. Is the Guam National Guard, has there been, what level of corruption has he fought for the people here in the Guam National Guard, or was it just corruption nationally or federally, at the federal level?
Yeah, without giving too much, and hopefully to get people to want to be able to tune into us on Thursday, I want to have him be able to speak about that. But yeah, absolutely, there was an issue while he was over at the Guard that he was a part of, that he helped address. And so we look forward to him being able to speak about that. Okay, well, I'll be looking forward to that. So I'm getting the gist here in the conversation that we're going to put a whole lot more meat on these bones Thursday when we actually unveil the platform. And I get that others have also been reluctant in giving me a whole lot of the details on how they're going to be punching ahead. You're talking about revolutionizing the economy here. Can you give me a couple of thoughts on that, and maybe a couple of pieces that our listeners can work with? Sure. One of our biggest exports, grain, is money. We buy everything from off island, and so one of the biggest things that that we'll do, and we'll have take central stage in our administration, is the Department of Agriculture. When we talk about, we want to transform everyone's backyards into their own farms, and helping them be able to replace at least one commodity that they buy from the stores, from their backyard, from their own personal farms. We want to be able to do that. Just this past weekend, we were in Dededo walking the streets, and right by East St. Son, the homes to your right, heading into West St. Son, there's this parklands that have been overgrown. And so we're looking at that area and seeing how we can establish that as a community co-op, so that people can be planting and growing things. And can you imagine just that one area, if they can just replace one commodity from what they buy in the stores, in the supermarkets that are flown in from farms in Mexico, in California, then we're able to keep our money here. And so that's going to be able to help us grow our economy.
On the subject of modernizing the government of Guam, I've allowed and tried to make this program a platform for people that can talk about software issues in the government of Guam. We're still dealing with an AS400 system that I think is older than you. Is it 400 or 4,000? What number are we up to?
Well, I don't know how old it is, but it's the last steam-powered system in existence.
Yeah. So we don't have, I think, the kind of 21st century information technology in front of us. So that's one of the things that really aggravates me. We've got issues with the Department of Revenue and Taxation, their ability to communicate in real time with real numbers with the Department of Administration, and that, and then working that through with what numbers that the legislature would need as they talk about being able to put together their budgets. I mean, imagine having access to real-time transactions all over the government of Guam happening simultaneously. You'd be able to see where the deficiencies are. You'd be able to see where some of the places are where there are opportunities to bring in some additional revenues. That's one of them. And then Guam Memorial Hospital, as you know, which has got an outdated system and one that they're using right now that could probably be expanded to the tune of a few $1 million worth of an installation. So those are the kinds of things that I'd like to see when we're talking about modernizing the government.
Absolutely, Ray. The problem we have is that we work in silos. We have all these different entities in the government that, that their intention is to use technology to their advantage, but we're all doing it piecemeal. We're all doing it separately. We got to have a central effort to kind of be able to do this. And use technology to our advantage, truly use it to our advantage. You see some of the, I know GPA, GWA have gone in that direction. Why can't we use their successes for the other parts of our government? And so we want to ensure that that happens. We'll make that a priority. Electronic health records, you have the Department of Public Health, the community health centers that have a system, but they're not necessarily talking to our community providers, the private clinics. And so it's just a matter of prioritizing this and realizing that when you have one system, when you are able to use the tools, the technology tools in front of you, how much of a difference and it will make for us as a community, for us individually as well. And so that's an initiative that we're going to pursue. We want to also ensure that our government bank accounts, if we can get them online so that people know real time, how much money we have in the bank.
Doesn't BJ have that on one of his websites?
To do that.
Doesn't BJ have that on one of his websites that you know of?
I'm not sure. I know he has he has the OSB has a real good website that's very useful. But again, we're working in silos. We got to ensure that we speak as one and that we're able to have all these entities speak to each other so that it's easier. We want to make sure that the government is recognizable to our people. It's their government. And so we want to make sure that it makes sense for them.
Gotcha. Listen, we've got to break away here. When I return, if you don't mind, I'd like to continue the conversation. I know that and get into some real-time issues here. Senator Bob Klitzky is at my side, and I know that he has been making some pivotal conversations in the radio and in the media, and it looks like those conversations have now affected the campaign to the degree that, as far as I know, your running mate Dave Cruz is now unemployed. And then there's the rest of the conversation about finally being able to get the appropriate arms twisted at Guam Memorial Hospital so we could finally get our hands on the CMS documentation, including their plan of action, their corrective plan. So we'll talk about that in a second, all right?
Okay, if great, I can give you a call back. I'm going to get into a doctor's appointment with my wife. I can call you back in 15 minutes?
The program will be over in 15 minutes. Can you let me address them now. Do you have documentation in hand from Peter John Camacho?
Yes, and so my office, if not already, will be releasing the documents that were provided to us last Friday. Our staff took the time over the weekend to ensure that there wasn't any information that may have been exempted from FOIA. And so if those were there, we redacted it, but we are, we are going to release that to you and to the others to ensure that you know what is happening.
So we will be able to finally see the corrective plan of action and an idea of how much this is going to cost the taxpayers to bail out the mismanagement at GMH.
That's right. And so, I'm going to be talking to my other colleagues as well to see how we can best help, the hospital. The exact funds that's needed, but of course, recognizing first, that the hospital as well has to be accountable for the waste that they have incurred over the years, and move forward from there. But if there's one thing, just from my cursory review of the corrective action plan, Ray, is that the leadership there drastically has to change their attitude towards things. Or if not, or be replaced altogether. Because
the fact that the fact that the CMS report and the corrective action plan were held in confidence against even their own board and the legislature for as long as it was, I think is the last damning piece, if you will, in that puzzle. And so I'm glad that you finally got your hands on it. I'm glad that the governor saw the light and suggested to Peter John that he make those documents available as well. And so I'm glad that we're finally moving in the right direction. And you can confirm that John Fernandez terminated your running mate Friday?
Yes, he did, and it's a shame. Dave, when he decided to run for lieutenant governor, he went to DOE. He was classified. He said, "Look, I'm going to run for public office. What can I do to do that? Do I need to volunteer, demote myself to unclassified, or what?" And so DOE came back with that contract, which I know Senator Klitsky has challenged, and DOE has said it was legal. We believe it's legal as well. But for them to come back and renege on that, it's a shame, and that's another political tactic.
Well, Senator Klitsky didn't suggest that there was anything wrong with the contract. He just said that in his position at the Department of Education, it didn't necessarily exempt him from the Hatch Act.
That was the major point that I made, but I had several criticisms of the contract itself that weigh in on a different issue, not Dave Cruz's eligibility to continue his employment as a candidate for lieutenant governor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I wanted to confirm.
Pieces that were part of this contract, one being the agreement between the Department of Defense and DOE for those ROTC instructors, and how different it makes that employee, not as a regular employee. These are retired officers that are given the flexibility to do their job as a ROTC instructor and be able to also live out their retirement. And so those are the things that I think people have failed to see. But be it as it may, it is what it is today. I'm encouraging Dave to look at it legally and take any action that needs to be done, because if clearly he was very honest and upfront and transparent from the beginning and was given this, and for them the same people to come back now and take it back for political reasons is completely wrong. And that's what we're fighting about. That's the type of corruption that we want to end.
If it were me, and understanding that you've got this issue here that others have acted on, I'd start taking a look at everybody else that is pulling for government office that might also be working in, quote, an unclassified position in the government of Guam, and make sure that they have got the bona fides to be able to continue their campaign. Senator, it's always a delight talking with you. We'll, as we get closer and closer to Thursday, might be a couple of other reasons for us to give you a call, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the corrective action plan for GMH.
Great. Thank you so much, Ray, for the opportunity. Senator Klitsky, thank you. And have a good trip. You're heading off island, right, Ray?
Yeah, I'm going to go down to Singapore, see if I can find some more toys for the radio stations.
All right, great. Okay, see if you have any memorabilia from the Trump-Kim summit.
That's another good point. I think I will look for some of that. I'll see you pretty soon.
Okay, God bless. Bye-bye.
9:46 in the morning, Senator Dennis Rodriguez, and a little bit of a primer on what he's going to be talking about as they unveil their campaign platform on Thursday. iConnect time in the studio. It's 9:46. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push to talk and mobile plans.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital X-rays, and 4D ultrasounds. FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL. and we are here for you.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
Chili's Rib Fest is back. You can get saucy with their fall off the bone, slow smoked half rack of ribs for $10.99. Available in original, roasted garlic, or honey chipotle flavors. Served with home style fries. Add an additional half rack of ribs for just $7. Low and slow is the key to more flavor. Chili's Rib Fest for $10.99. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Well, that's what people are saying, Nick. What about Kate Baltazar? Would she fall in the same category, going from deputy DOC to wherever she is at? As far as I know, she I don't think she's unclassified. In her, I'd have to look at that. Was she KGTF, right?
Yes, KGTF. No doubt she's unclassified, but of course now we know that that is not the touchstone by which these decisions are made.
So it's possible. I don't know. She was on the list of folks for us to try to reach this morning and to get it from her mouth exactly what it is, because I think that's important for us to have that conversation, especially in light now of what's happened with Dave and Senator Rodriguez confirming this morning that yes, and he in fact was terminated from his position over at Guam in the Department of Education.
It's kind of like telling a child that there really isn't a Santa Claus.
Hey, wait a second. Easy now. 10 away from the top of the hour. 888-8255. That's 888-8255. There's some other serious conversations that's going on. And I'm not going to be able to get to all of it today, but I do want to touch on this point here. Truth in billing is going to become the next issue when we start talking about the Federal Communications Commissions and their conversations with the administration and asking, hey, why'd you take that money out of the 911 fund, the E911 fund? That is there specifically to stand up a 911 system. And it's millions of dollars, like $4 million over the last 4 or 5 years, right? That has been removed now from this fund. And the question is, how do we put some control back on that? And for me, the answer is to give the power of the purse over E911 back to the Public Utilities Commission.
Did you want to talk about the puppy and how to train the puppy again?
Well, no, but I like that story. Tall tale, as it were. And I've trained little dogs not to pee-pee in the house anymore. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. Sometimes the dog still needs to know that you're the alpha. So every once in a while, a swift spot on a whack on the hind leg of a dog will get his attention, and then he'll remember, oh yeah, I was supposed to do that outside. Well, can you open the door for me, right? So that's how it's always worked out for me in my house.
And that would seem that same approach would work in government, Ray.
It's entirely likely that it will, but it puts the idea that there is a bill, and this is what we were talking about. So I get a cell phone bill every month. At the bottom of it is the E911 charges. So I will dutifully write out the check or whatever it is that I do with that and send it back to the phone company. The phone company then does what? They've collected that amount, give it to the government, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are they shielded now from any violations in truth in billing?
I would say so, unless unless somehow you could ascribe what's called scienter to the phone company, that they know that there's no possible way.
That's where I'm headed with this. We've known for years that these monies have not been making it into the E911 account, or that they were being used for legitimate E911 purposes.
But even then, the phone company would find itself in what we would call the Kathy Kakigi dilemma. Which law do you want me to break here?
Right. So it will be interesting to watch how that works and see where the next shoe is going to drop. I'm wondering what penalties will be doled out by the Federal Communications Commission.
Well, a guy that I know that is just a whiz-bang on all of these things says that what's going to happen is that we're going to lose eligibility for more 911 funds until we get our house in order and pray for forgiveness.
Well, that's going to stink.
That's
going to stink. Well, and the thing is that we are apparently in the midst of some procurement for the next gen 911 system. which is over at the Attorney General's office. And the idea from my conversation with Chief St. Nicholas last week was that as soon as they bless it at the Attorney General's office, then they'll go ahead and start the procurement. And I said, well, where are you going to get the money from? You had money before. There was dough in there that would support the installation of the E911 system. But he seemed pretty confident that they'd be able to conjure up the funds necessary to exact a purchase.
Well, if it's really a serious emergency, we wouldn't even be able to call 911.
952. Well, and it was pointed out to me the other day that there's a piece of legislation where the legislature itself authorized withdrawal from the E911 funds to support the purchase of ambulances.
But that doesn't make it right.
I agree. And I think the conventional wisdom of the time was that, you know what, what's the point of having a 911 system if we don't have any ambulances to send to you? So that was the prevailing wisdom. It seemed like it was very logical at the time, but among the cases where even the legislature would find itself in contravention of what the federal policy was.
True.
888-8255. Ken's back. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. I just wanted to dovetail on your conversation with Dennis, because over the weekend, we didn't know that Dave had been terminated. That part wasn't released in their email blast, you know?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise that everybody had known about it, or well, at least they had known about it, and I'm getting these notes that they're rather matter of fact, like, oh, you didn't know that? Why didn't you know that? Well, because nobody said anything over the weekend.
Yeah, that was, I mean, look at his statement. I refuse to resign. I refuse to, I'm going to refuse to resign. I refuse to withdraw. I am going to run. Nowhere in that did it say, oh, by the way, I was terminated.
Yeah. Well, I should have asked. I forgot. I was feeling the pressure of time here. So I slipped my mind to ask him, when did that happen? Because I think I received I'm trying to remember what time I got the email from them.
I got it at 6:30.
You got it? Okay. So same thing. Bob Clacy got his at 6:30. So you would assume that in a regular work day, somebody might have found his way over to Dave sometime before 5 o'clock and said, adios.
Yeah. And so, you know, when I put that video together, that was based on the reactions I was getting from people that I'd been talking to over this issue, because, I mean, there is a huge groundswell against this type of candidacy, and not just Dennis, you know, other government of Guam employees who get paid to run. Now that this whole issue's been magnified, I think all of them are going to pay a penalty at the voting booth. But in particular, this one, because here we are, we have a team that's campaigning. We are going to fight corruption. But their very first act is to take labor laws, bend them like a pretzel, and then say, it's okay. You know, we saw a lot of that happen in the Calvo Tenorio administration, and it ties right into the E911 funds, because when we can't trust government officials to follow the rules, regulations, and laws, what's the point in having them?
Well, what's even more concerning is once we see the issues, you know, we've got certainly some spin doctrine going on. But I'm looking now going, well, who's supposed to solve these problems? I mean, the media, the Fourth Estate can only, or the Fifth? Are we the Fourth? We're the Fourth Estate. So the Fourth Estate can only do so much. We don't have the powers of subpoena. I've got no enforcement and compliance tricks that I can use other than just to say that this is wrong on its face. We should not be using special funds, dollars, for any purposes other than what they were legally created for. And the idea that it becomes this slushy fund, and it's not, I'm sure it's not just this administration that has done it in the past. As I said with the 911 and the funds and the ambulances, it has been done before by other branches of the government. So we've got to get ourselves out of the habit quickly of treating these as little slushy funds where we can get dough whenever we need it. If we bouncing checks on payroll or can't give Paula Bloss the money she needs over at the retirement fund, that doesn't mean that you can take it out of the 911 fund or the CLTC survey fund or the Roadworks fund.
Well, that's because That's the way it used to be done, but that's when the public had blind trust in our elected and appointed officials. And we don't have that blind trust in our elected appointed officials. It's gotten to the point now where the people are questioning everything. And when I was at McDonald's earlier this morning, I ran into a few people, and they were also wondering about CUC issues. And I told them I'm not even following CUC. I've got my hands full just with the legislature and the governor's office. But the fact that people are starting to raise issues about the CUC, and I thought, okay.
Well, we're gonna raise issues now, and the next one is going to be on GORA. Somebody needs to be taking a look at this. This is the misuse of federal funds. They were given $2 million to use for to support some project that the Fed had approved, and they used the money from something else. And now we have to pay them back, and they're asking for, hey, maybe you can waive this, maybe you guys can look the other way. And anymore, I mean, if you're the federal government, you start looking at Guam, and based on some of the headlines that we're throwing around these days with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission and with GORA, there's no way they're going to look the other way on this. I think they'd come after us with both feet, and we deserve it. We would absolutely deserve it. Hey, I got to run because it's almost that time.
All right. Talk to you later.
You'll talk to me in about a week, as a matter of fact. And I think I've got enough time to sum up where it is. I'm out of town for a trade show for the next 3 or 4 days, and Senator Bob Klitsky is going to be doing the program, and he's trying to be nice. He doesn't want to call it or refer to anything that you might have heard at K57 at one point or another. Frankly, I don't care. You want to use tall tales. People are used to hearing you talk about tall tales on the radio. You can do that here on The Point. And as I said, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This is also kind of an audition for an opportunity that we might be able to put together so that there are tall tales in the afternoon here on the radio station, especially during this political season. How much fun is that going to be?
At least now he knows I crack a mean producer's whip in here, man.
Yeah, we're going to be all right. So I'm going to do a little bit of training and some behind-the-scenes stuff with him in just a little bit. And in the meantime, have a good week and save me something to talk about next Monday, all right?
We'll do it, Ray.
The radio station is KUSG. I got you. Fox News Live is coming up next. It's Monday, so we get Sunday weekend programs to play for you. The right-wing bomb throwers back on the radio at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Here it comes, the Fox News on 93.3 The Point.
Bringing families back together. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The Trump administration unveiling a plan to reunite children separated from their parents after they cross the border. The effort includes building better databases linking the parent and children's information and their whereabouts.
They're going to have to bring them back to the border where they should have been in the first place.
Are we talking weeks or months?
And be with their parents who violated the law, reunite them at the family center, and then go forward with the removal proceedings.
House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mike McCall on Fox News Sunday. Democrats and Republicans agreed the system is broken, but a solution. Capitol Hill remains in limbo.
This morning, President Trump tweeted at Democrats to fix the laws. 2 days ago, he tweeted that Republicans should not waste their time on immigration until after the midterm elections, because in his view, Democrats don't actually want to get anything done. Republican Congressman Mike McCall says that he spoke to the White House yesterday about this compromise bill, and he says that they are behind Republicans when it comes to the legislation.
Fox's Ellison Barber at the White House. House Republicans demanding more answers from the Justice Department regarding the Russia investigation.
This latest dust-up over document request comes as congressional investigators are trying to determine if there was a political agenda behind the FBI's investigation into the Trump campaign. One of the big questions lawmakers are looking into is whether the FBI used